All right, CoCoTALK. Shh, everybody be quiet. Shh, be quiet. But CoCoTALK, episode 52, the Easter edition, will be going live in 3, 2.
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
This is CoCoTALK, the nation's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer, with your host, Mr. Gameplay Goodness himself, Stevie Stroh.
All right, everybody, and welcome to Happy Easter's Eve edition of CoCoTALK. And Simon, I think you brought the echo. But welcome to episode 52. Oh, crap. I forgot to update the graphic there. It still says 51 on the screen. How about we get rid of that? That's embarrassing. All right, we're going to go here so you can't see that. Completely forgot. Welcome to episode 52 of CoCoTALK. All right. James says, I'm not hearing anything. Is the sound coming through the live stream? Can anybody check? Sound coming through the live stream? No, I hear it. I hear it. I just clicked on the mute button. The sound's coming through. Okay, Davey Mitchell's here. Hey, Davey. All right, so we're here. We're here for episode 52. So I guess now this makes a year or past a year that we've been doing this show that we call the CoCoTALK. And we've got another great panel with us. So I'm just going to go around the room and say hi to everybody. I am going to start now with an order of celebrity, which I believe is the proper way we should do this since we do have a cast of celebrities here. So I'm going to start with the brightest star in the CoCo universe, Sir David Ladd. Thank you for being here with us today, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Steve. I'm glad to be here with everyone, and I'm excited. CoCoFEST is like 3 weeks away, and I'm pumped up.
No shortage of enthusiasm there, right? And the second brightest star in the hardware universe would be Richard Lorbieski of Boyle Technologies. How are you today, Richard?
Doing great, but did you know in my rider I specifically said I did not want to be next to David Ladd, so could you please move me over?
Wow. That was right under the red M&Ms only, right?
Yes, exactly.
I will have to have the promotion department get back to your people. Somebody's having a seizure up there in the corner. Looks like Coco Man is. We also have with us the guy who optimized the MC10 basic ROM just to make Steve Bjork happy. James Diffendaffer is with us today.
Hello, everyone.
From Canada, creator of the CoCo Games List website, co-creator of Nitrous 9, and just damn good-looking guy. We've got L. Curtis Boyle with us. Hello, Curtis.
Good-looking where?
And
hi, everyone.
For those of you who missed the bonus episode, we got to see Curtis's mullet, and what can I tell you? It was
marvelous.
Yes.
It was the 90s.
Some things can never be unseen. And back after a while, Steve Batson, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here. Too many busy weekends.
I hear you. I hear you. And also, from all the way from Denmark, we have the madman, Simon Jonassen. Thanks for being here, Simon.
Yeah, no worries.
Yay, Simon.
Hey, Simon.
As seen at PenFest 99 and PenFest 2000, Jason the CoCo Man is with us.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
That guy who made Zaxxon is here, Steve Bjork.
Hey, everybody. That's about the only claim of fame these days.
From Ron's garage, we have Ron Delvaux.
How you doing? Hey, found somebody. named Coco Delvaux.
Coco Delvaux. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, get him on the show.
So if you and the Coco had offspring, that's who it would be?
Yeah, it would.
Coco Delvaux. I'm not sure that he's not already having offspring. He keeps new Cocos pop up in his garage all the time. So. From down under, the Thunder, we have Nick Marentes. How are you today, Nick?
Good night, everyone.
And we have that Apple guy. Mark O is here. Mark Overholser.
Hey there. Glad to be here. Glad you let me come back every week.
We do. We don't hold that against you. And last but certainly not least, the propeller head himself, Mr. Grant Leighty, is here.
Hello, everybody.
So we're here in another week of live CoCoTALK in the live chat. We have multiple personalities. We have Paco Atacte and Drencor in the live chat. Davey Mitchell is here. David Ladd's in the live chat. That's his third personality. Mark Overholser, Disney Saints fan, one of our patrons, is here. Hello, Disney Saints fan. Bill Noble, James Jones, Davey Mitchell, Steve Bjork, Bill Noble. Hello, everybody in the live chat. 17 people watching us live right now. We're delighted to have you here. It's another week. Last week we had the shortest episode in the history of CoCoTALK, just about. It was a good episode. I finally just published that as a podcast this morning, running a little bit behind this week. So that's now available for your listening pleasure. And now we're going to move on to the segment of the show that we call Project Updates and Acquisitions. And I believe there are a number of those updates. And so who would like to go first on show and tell right now?
I bought something Radio Shack.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What do you got?
At Goodwill.
Wow.
High density discs. Look at that,
Yeah.
Ron.
Radio Shack. Look at that.
Look at that. I bet you they still work too, huh?
I'll bet you. Yep. Not only that, but I also bought a modern day calculator. Anybody know what this is?
That's the one that doesn't have the divide bug like the Pentium, right?
That's the Motorola 6800, right?
This is the precursor to the MC10.
That's okay. James can fix it.
James
Don't forget to set that carry bit.
James will optimize it for you.
Dashing case.
Look at that. That is awesome. So Radio Shack products can still be found if you know where to look. And if anybody's going to find them, it's going to be Ron Delvaux.
Going to be Ron Delvaux.
Simon, I do have queued up your latest clip. Look at that, a floppy organizer too. That looks good, huh? That's a double wide.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a double wide. I do have the latest video of your thing too, Simon, where you're running on a real floppy, playing the music and loading a picture of my girlfriend up on there.
You wish.
Excellent. Curtis and David, you want to give us a CoCo VGA update?
Sure. Go for it.
So we finally got the testing done and went back and forth and fixed bugs. There were some other bugs we had to fix too, unrelated to the CoCo VGA specifically. So there's an updated 32-column driver for the regular CoCo 1, 2, 3 TDP running Holstein level 1. The 64-column mode in the CoCo VGA now works properly. There's some optimizations to screen scrolling and screen clearing and clearing lines too. We actually got Ron Klein, who's helping a lot of the beta testing, do some speed tests. And the 6809 version is now faster than the original 609 version was, and the 609 version is more than twice as fast as the original.
Wow.
So some pretty nice speed ups in there. But anyway, they're all in the repository thanks to David. So if anybody's running a CoCo 1, 2, TDP 100, Dragon, 3264, whatever, that runs Nitrostein level 1, there's some updates for you.
And there you go. And that's almost sounding like... Ease of use.
Oh, no, it has nothing to do with that. Still a bear to install it, but no, I'm just kidding.
So CoCo VGA support now officially supported by level 1. Because level 2, you got a CoCo 3. CoCo 3's already got the modes and doesn't support the CoCo VGA anyway. So cool. Very cool. Now, when we combine that with something like the CoCo Mem Junior in the very near future with more memory and MMU capability, level 1's going to be like a whole new animal, right?
Actually, the Mu and the CoCo Junior use level 2 made for the CoCo 1 hardware. So now you would have 64 column lowercase mode added, and later on we should be able to add in the 128 by 96 16 color mode and palette settings and all kinds of stuff. So it'll become more like level 2 on the CoCo 3.
Okay. That's cool.
So it's basically level 1.5.
Yeah.
Level 1.5. Now, Coco Man is here. Coco Man and I both received something in the mail today, actually. I'm going to hold mine up for the world to see. And I have to say, too, this is American labor, okay? So nothing against cheap Canadian labor. But, you know, when we can put Americans to work and when American jobs are not taken up by foreigners, that's always a good thing. So what we are looking at here is looks like a DB9 on one side and a doohickey. So is this a serial to
joystick adapter?
Serial to joystick adapter. This is Richard Lorbieski's. Do we have a name for this, Richard?
Right now, I'm just calling it the CoCo / Atari - Sega Game Master adapter, because it works with any DB9 type Atari adapter or Sega Genesis gamepad.
Okay,
and that plugs into a CoCo RS-232 or joystick port.
It plugs into the joystick port. It's compatible with the CoCo 1, 2, or 3.
Mm-hmm. Right. So this is a single. And what's great about this, because I also have the John Linville Neil Blanchard box, and so this is a real streamline, right? This is really this is just the cable, and actually what I'll do is I will pull up one of your pictures from Facebook.
The electronics is built right into that DB9 connector.
The electronics that convert the circuit that converts the Atari joystick to the CoCo joystick, it's built into the shroud of this. So it's literally just an inline cable, and it's very short, so you can plug your thing in. What I have plugged into mine is I've got a Wyco controller for the old Atari systems. I've got that plugged in. I've got Popstar Pilot queued up. I don't know if Jason has got, if Jason is able to show off his. Looks like Jason's camera is having a seizure again.
Skype hates me today. I cannot send any video via Skype. It's all I get is that flickering nonsense. I have no idea what's going on. No camera, no video, no nothing at the moment. I'm working on it.
Time to reboot.
Would this work with the Dragon too? If you modified the DIN plug?
Yes, you have to remove pin 6, which is that center inside plug or connector, and it should work.
Excellent.
So what I'll show you guys here real quick is I'll go ahead and try to play Popstar Pilot with a
now
Wyco
Steve can
controller.
get past level 2 with this. This is a miracle worker thing that everybody should buy it.
Yeah, right.
He won't get past number 1.
Hey Nick, any words of advice for Stevie here?
Read the manual.
Lost
Stevie's
cause.
done then.
Now the other thing is on my joystick adapter, both firing buttons are supported. So the Fire 1 and Fire 2 button do work, and they do work on Popstar Pilot.
I tried using. I have a joystick I bought that's the NES Advantage that was modified to work on the ColecoVision. Mm-hmm. I tried using that, and it had some weird issue where the buttons just kept firing. So I have a feeling it has something to do with the signaling in that joystick, because I plugged the Wyco in and the Wyco's fine. So I've never tried using that joystick on anything other than the ColecoVision before.
Was it supposed to have a rapid firing circuit on the ColecoVision?
The ColecoVision did not, but actually that NES Advantage originally did. There was like a turbo button that you could enable rapid fire and then turn a dial to adjust the speed of it and stuff. But all that stuff was supposed to be disabled for the thing. But yeah, no, the joystick control is fine. This is great. So I can move, I can steer, all that stuff.
Just not win.
Listen, I can't blame Richard for that.
Now, there's some games that it won't work on. These are games that depend on voltage levels, like for
Double Polaris. Well, the
Arkanoid.
Arkanoid.
The Arkanoid, 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 Yeah, Arkanoid. The patched version of Double Back does work for the CoCo 3. I've tested that, but things like the Double Back unmodified will not work. It'll just jump all over the screen. And that is because it's trying to read voltage levels instead of what this does is it just senses which way the voltage is going and then just makes the adjustment accordingly.
Basically, it's a digital joystick opposed to an analog joystick.
Correct. Yeah, it converts a digital joystick, converts that into an analog signal, so it can be read by the program.
Look at this. I'm going to clear level 1. That's a good sign.
Yeah,
somebody's have to get Stevie a cake. Get him a cake.
Okay, let's get the flag. Get the flag. All right. So there we have it, folks. I cleared level 1. That is a testament. Oh, you want me to actually play the whole game now?
Time.
Yeah, now we got to see if you can actually make it to level 3. That would be a momentous occasion.
And we'd
well,
have
CoCo never made it to level 3 either, in case of OS9, but still.
Oh, actually there was. Alan did a level 3.
I ran out of fuel. All right.
You're not supposed to land.
The screen was flashing on me. All right. Well, there we have it, guys. That is the joystick adapter. Jim Gary has joined us. Hey, Jim. How are you? Cool stuff. And what are these selling for, Richard?
They will be available at CoCoFEST. That's where I'm going to first sell them, and they are going to be $20 a pair. And I also have a mailing list. If you mail me at richard@boysondeck.com, if you haven't already done so, I'll put you on the list. And as soon as CoCoFEST is over, I will send you the cables out.
What about the website?
There's the picture that somebody's holding up right now. I guess that's Ron Delvaux doing that. Boyson Tech, BOYSONTE. So, but is this? Can people see it on your website yet?
Not yet. My you know how my website is. It's
yes.
But you can see it on Facebook right now.
You can see it on Facebook. And listen, while he may not have added content to his website, he has produced and shipped a product. Winners ship. Steve Jobs, right? So there we go.
Hey, Richard. We'll talk about your website at the CoCoFEST.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll help you.
Okay. Cool.
Does the MC10 have joystick ports?
No, it does not.
Nope. Okay.
Although Ed Snyder released an updated version of his MCX 128, where he added a sound chip and 2 Atari joystick ports to it. So
I just thought you could use the adapter on the MC10 as well, but obviously not.
Yeah.
Now, this adapter may work on some of the CoCo emulators, and because I know, like on the Gary Becker has an analog port. I haven't tried it on that one, and it's possible that it is compatible. And again, I haven't tested on the Tandy 1000, the older generation ones, but they should work.
What about Dragon?
The Dragon has that also.
Okay.
It should work on Roger Taylor's because his has been tested with Tandy joysticks, I think. So.
Okay.
And it should work on the CoCo 3 FPGA as well.
Right.
I have one running on it.
Yeah, that was it Gary Becker?
Yeah, Gary Becker's.
Right. Yeah, it should work.
Well, the adapter works, and it goes in line between a Atari-style joystick. And when we say Atari, it could be an official Atari joystick, something made for the Atari, like a Waiko or third-party joystick. Also, anything that would work on a Sega Master System or Sega Genesis would also work because all of them shared that same DB9 pinout. And you can read up to 2 buttons on this. So if you have a Sega system that supports 3 or more buttons, you'll be able to read 2 of those buttons on a CoCo 3 or Tandy 1000, right? CoCo 1 would only read 1 button.
Correct, yeah, it's the B and C button.
Right.
And any of the Commodore joysticks will work, rather.
There's 64 joysticks.
64 or Amiga, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Now, let me get this straight. You're selling 2 of those cables for $20?
Yes.
Okay, let me get this straight too. As you sell each of these sets, you're losing $20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're too cheap.
He's making it up in volume, though.
Yeah. It's way too cheap. You're getting see $20 a cable. I thought that was a good price, but 2 cables for 20? You're too low.
Okay. Maybe that's a show special.
Yeah, it actually is going to. I'm going to actually raise the price after CoCoFEST and after the first wave. But yeah, it'll go up in price.
So you're going to infuse the market and generate some buzz, and then compensate.
So if you run out of product at the show, will you honor that price if people pay then?
Of course. Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right, I need a couple hundred, please.
Okay.
Yeah, you can put them on eBay for $50-$60 each.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
Simon.
Okay, you guys heard it now. If you want to make money, buy the cables now and then sell them when the price goes up.
It's like Bitcoin. Simon, is it okay if we show off your real floppy demo?
Yeah, you can do that if you want. It's not finished, but it's a work in progress. So.
All right. Well, we're going to show that off right now. We're going to show off Simon's demo.
It's actually part of the CoCo 3 Mega demo. I needed to make a loader where I didn't cut the music out.
So this is coming off of a real floppy right now.
Yeah, the slight stutter is when it's changing track.
I like the track too. It's catchy.
Well, that's a tiny bit of the track. So 4.5 minute track. So yeah, that's a standard FD 501.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not loading fast, but it's loading when it's playing music, and that's my main objective.
Right.
They said it can never be done, so that's a pretty right.
Mr. Robot Shop is asking, where do we get the joystick adapters? And you want to repeat that, Richard? For somebody who's interested in getting one of these fine quality products.
Oh, okay. Oh, sounds.
Who's doing that right now? Who's making the music? Or is that still coming from mine? Hold on.
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, that's coming from me. Sorry about that. I was like really confused.
You're making the.
Yeah, making the noise.
All right, sorry about that, Richard. So you want to remind Mr. Robot Shop where he can get one of these fine quality cables.
Oh yes, you can get them at CoCoFEST. I will have them available, $20 a pair. It's going to be a limited time, and also if you want to get on the waiting list, because after CoCoFEST I will be shipping them out. And you can send me email at richard@boysontech.com. That's BOYSONTEC.com.
TEC or TECH?
TECH, I'm sorry, TECH. Okay.
And just to clarify, it will work on the Dragon by clipping the 6-pin, right?
Right, the middle 6-pin, you can clip that out. But in the future, I will have ones available for the Dragon exclusively.
Okay.
What does the 6-pin do on a Dragon? Is it just a fire button or something?
Right, it's the second fire button, but the Dragon doesn't have that 6 connector inside, so it won't fit in there.
Right.
It's got only a 5-pin female.
Yeah, it's a 5-pin, 240 degree.
Very cool. So did we cover all of the project updates at this point? Did anybody else have anything they wanted to update us on, what they're working on right now?
Well, I'm just working on my game music composer program. Just been working a bit more on that. Still not finished, but I can just show a screenshot if you want.
Sure. Please do.
Okay, I'll just bring that up. Coming, share window. It's not coming up. Well, then basically, well, has anyone else got something while I work out what the hell's wrong with this PC?
I can.
I will show. How about if I show the banner for the ease of use?
There you go. Please
do that first.
It'll take 2 seconds, but I'll show my screen here real quick.
Or we can just look over your shoulder.
Well, I thought I'd give you the good picture first, so.
Look at that. Ease of use project. That's a nice close-up of the CoCo. Nitros 9. Spanning the globe.
Yeah, and
thanks
it was,
to Ron Delvaux for designing that.
I was going to say, it was Ron who did it. Thank you, Ron. And then also, Steve Bjork also put the a banner on the Glenside website as well, too.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Steve. I haven't had a chance to check Glenside lately. So.
Yeah, I had to. Well, the banner is really wide, and the icon areas are basically square. So I had to do a little work on it. You couldn't read ease of use.
Well, I didn't say ease of legibility, so.
Yeah.
So just to let everybody know, if you do want to get a banner, I got it from Vistaprints. They were very quick. I think we ordered it on Monday, didn't we, Curtis?
Yeah, and you had it in less than a week.
I got it today, so yeah, it was about 5 business days after we pushed the button to order it. So they're very easy to do once you figure out how to do the layout. And I think we spent $38 for the banner, and then plus shipping and handling, and we also got the metal hangers too up there for $7. So well worth it if you guys are looking to do a banner for CoCoFEST.
What's it made out of? Plastic or?
No, it's not. Well, I guess it is like a heavy.
Is it vinyl?
Vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's not paper.
No, definitely not.
Well, I can share something too while we're waiting on Nick too. The project I'm working on now is almost done. So what I am going to bring to CoCoFEST is a Best of CoCoTALK DVD. So here is just a printout of what the cover is going to look like, right? And it's going to have to be redesigned now a little bit, but this would be like what the DVD cover would look like if you folded it in half, right? So you got your front of your DVD, your back of your DVD, right? So this was just kind of me seeing how the design looked. I wanted to make sure that the text was legible against the colored background. So what we have is we have 2 best of episodes that Brian Joyce has created for us. And those are already available. You could watch them on YouTube for free. But what we did yesterday, on Sunday, was we recorded a 2.5-hour bonus episode that is going to be exclusive to the DVD as well as to people on Patreon. So if you're a patron of the show, you'll get to watch that exclusive episode. But I figured I would show you kind of what the DVD is going to look like right now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit DVD. And when it comes up, will it come up? Do I have to hit play here? There you go. So when you first pop in the DVD, you get this little opening screen here.
This is CoCoTALK, the nation's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy color computer. With your host, Mr. Gameplay Goodness himself, Stevie Stroud.
That was our old intro before Bruce Moore came in. Alright, and then here's the menu. And so the menu has got, our bonus episode, Best of Volume 1, Best of Volume 2. And then, of course, then you would just play these. Alright, now how do I stop this? Alright, so I'm just going to stop that. Alright, so that's what they have, a nice little animated menu where you hear the CoCoTALK theme music playing in the background. Now, here was the challenge. When I first produced that DVD, to get the best of episode, which was 2.5 hours, our exclusive episode was like 2.5 hours, and the 2 best of episodes, it became like 5.5 hours worth of content. I was barely able to squeeze that content into a dual layer, 9 gigabyte DVD. And the problem is that the the company I use to produce DVDs, they don't produce dual layer. They only produce single layer DVDs. So what I had to end up doing is I had to take that exclusive episode, chop that in half. So I've got part 1 and part 2 of our exclusive episode. And so there's going to be a volume 1 and volume 2 DVD. So volume 1 will contain the first half of that exclusive episode and volume 1 of the best of CoCoTALK. And then volume 2 will contain the second half of that exclusive episode and volume 2 of the best of CoCoTALK. So wasn't exactly what I would have hoped for, but with the way technology works, that was the only way that I could actually do it. So I will have limited supply of those available at CoCoFEST if somebody wants to pick them up in person. They'll be available on the swag shop too once they're done at our 8bit256.com swag shop. But what I also thought we were going to do, which hoping everybody agrees to this, because most of us on CoCoTALK are going to be at CoCoFEST, I want to get a number of these where we can get the entire show panels to autograph the package. So we'll have a handful of autographed copies of these. I want to give one away to the auction. So it'll be an auction item for Glenside. And then I want to have some other ones. There's one I want to keep for myself. I don't know if you guys want to get autographs of everybody else for yourself too, but I want to have one that we can also then later give as a prize to people who watch the show. So maybe the week after CoCoFEST, we'll have some type of trivia contest, and whoever wins the contest, I will mail you copies of the autographed versions of the best of things. So I think it's just a cool thing. So that's my project up there. There's Jason. Jason got his camera working. There's Jason's joystick adapter.
Yep, right here.
Looking good? Looking good?
Got it here. I have a project update, too, when you get to me.
All right, go ahead. You have the floor, sir.
Okay. There's been a lot of talk about HDMI, HDMI SCART converters, and I finally have a finished product now of the HDMI to SCART converter cable. I'm calling it the switcheroo just because it has a switch on it. You can switch between the composite and RGB modes at a flip of a switch.
Look at that.
And I'll have these at CoCoFEST.
Very nice. Now, did you have any Canadians help you with this labor?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So,
who does your warranty work?
I was going to use the same guy you use.
Okay, Mr. Jim Breen.
All right. Well, we are a half hour into the show, so we've gotten through panel introductions. We've gotten through project updates. We're going to take a quick, I'm going to mention our sponsors. I'm then going to take a commercial break, and then we'll come back. We do have a why did Tandy do that this week. Do we have a question of the week, Grant? I don't recall if you mentioned if you had one or not.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so Grant has a question of the week. I don't know if Ron Delvaux, besides showing off Facebook, I don't know if Ron had anything else he wanted to talk about today. We'll find out. All right, so how about this? A quick thank you to our sponsors and friends of the show. So, of course, your friend and mine, Brendan Donahue, is creating the CoCoVGA project, which is a very cool way to get not only clean and pretty output from a CoCo 1 or 2, or soon Dragons, hopefully, too, but it now has support thanks to a few other people with Nitrous 9 level 1. So if you need CoCoVGA output, go to CoCoVGA.com. We now have a product. We have a product that is called the CoCo to Atari / Sega joystick adapter from BoysonTech.com. So you can email Richard at BoysonTech to get on the list to order these new joystick adapters. They will also be available to pick up in person at CoCoFEST. We cannot forget our warranty exchange and return service at Retro Innovations, makers of fine quality retro products for various systems from the Commodore to the TI to the CoCo. So you can go to go4retro.com or store.go4retro.com. If you like to color computer like we like to color computer, then visit I'mACoCoNut.com for all of your color computer needs. Let's not forget the show you're watching is called CoCoTALK. So if you want to know more about CoCoTALK, you can visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. If you'd like to send us email feedback and suggestions, etc., you can email the show at CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. And if you got to get some some swag going, some CoCo retro swag. You can visit that at the retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. Matter of fact, I believe there's free shipping this weekend if you use promo code FS18, FS for free shipping and the number 18 for the year. I believe it is free shipping this weekend only. In Jesus' name, amen, because Jesus did not believe in paying for shipping. So there, I'm going to hell again. So so again, yes. All right. So we're gonna run a commercial, and we'll be right back, people.
Hey everybody, this is Bill Noble, co-author of Nitrous 9. You are listening to CoCoTALK Live, the leading live CoCo talk show.
Where can you catch all the latest news and information about the Tandy Color computer and compatibles? Oh yeah, I'm talking about the CoCo Crew podcast. Dig it each month. Join John, Neil, and Mike as they lay down the latest news and information about the Radio Shack Tandy Color computer and compatibles. Groove to interviews, tech segments, and discussions all about the Radio Shack Tandy Color computer. Strut your fine self over to www.cococrew.org and start listening today. The CoCo Crew Podcast. Keeping it CoCo, dig?
Gotta love the CoCo Crew and those Myro productions, huh? My fellow Americans. This is my favorite commercial.
Canadians, Europeans, and all of you ands.
Not mine.
If I keep this going long enough, I can get the rap song going for Richard. He loves that.
Oh, where you can get yourself a coffee mug like this with a little cute cartoon character that says,
"That's right, free shipping this weekend."
You could also get
promo code
a coffee mug like this
FS18
with a Color Computer 3 that says, "I'm a Coco Nut." You could get yourself a deluxe travel mug like this with the CoCoTALK logo on it. You might even be able to get yourself a DVD like this with over 2 hours of gameplay goodness. It is time for us to rise up and make the world great again by enjoying some quality retro merchandise and CoCo nostalgia. So please visit 8bit256.com and let's make the world great for the color computer. Thank you very much.
All right, well, we are back. We're back with the show. And I'm just going to turn off that bug right now because I screwed up and didn't update that. And I did realize I missed somebody in the live chat, but Terry Steen is with us now too. Our good friend, creator of Balloon Fire and many other cool things for the CoCo and other systems. And if you want to join us on Skype, Terry, feel free to jump in. Davey Mitchell says the irony is that the Dragon has less fire buttons than the CoCo. Well, the original CoCo only had one fire button too.
Yeah, they did use a 6-pin DIN connector as a female, if I remember correctly, so you could plug like the dual button ones into it. It just wouldn't work.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Correct.
I see, said the blind man. Cool.
Sounds like a hardware project.
Sounds like a hardware project.
Yeah, I also wanted to add on this Atari joystick adapter. Jim Brain was a lot of this came from our Discord chat. Late night Discord chat, and I had the concept and idea, and while we're talking, Jim actually came up with the board layout within an hour, and that's how it, without Jim's help, this probably wouldn't have been possible, or it would have been months before I really got this thing off the ground.
And that's why he's so prepared for returns, because he helped design it.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, he's an awesome guy. I just wanted to mention that.
Jim Brain at Retro Innovations. Yeah, and honestly, that gets into what Steve Bjork mentions at the end of every show every week, is that, hey, we're hanging out on Discord, right? And I believe the link to Discord is now in the description to this video. I think I've actually updated that description. Let me scroll through here and verify that. Son of a bitch, why is this frickin' thing not scrolling for me? Screw you, YouTube. All right.
Yeah, there is one in there.
Oh, is it in there? All right,
Yep.
So email suggestions, join us for daily conversations on Discord. Yeah, so in the description to this video, the Discord servers in there. And so Discord is kind of like a combination of Skype and IRC. So we've got text conversations going on. We're on the calls nightly, just shooting the breeze, and a lot of collaborations taking place. And that's something that we talked about in our bonus episode. And so I might as well just do a quick review of that. So actually the bonus episode is available for viewing if you are a patron. And so that bonus episode is 2.5 hours. And as far as our stats right now, this was interesting. We reached 5666 on the eve of Easter. So I thought that was pretty cool. I took a picture of that and I put it on our Facebook page too. So and how did we do last week? Last week's show, the shortest episode ever, it's gotten 109 views from last week. And that one, the podcast version of that did not get published until today. I usually try to publish the podcast by Friday. It was a little bit behind this week, so maybe some more of our podcast listens will increase by then. The St. Patrick's Day edition got 173 views. And then episode 49, Serial Talk, got 165 views. Temple of Rom Top, 165. Brazilian Clones and Jim Gary and Apple Talk got 228 views. That's still probably one of the most viewed shows of recent. So good stuff. Good stuff. And there you have it. So what else are we going to talk about now?
I've got my game music composer ready to just show off.
There you go. Fire away, Nick.
Okay. So am I sharing that screen to everyone?
You are sharing.
All right. Well, the game music composer is just a basic program I'm putting together for authoring music for my next game. So it's a very simple program which uses what they call a piano roll display, whereby you place your notes on the bars in the position where you would normally play it on a keyboard. Hence there's a picture of a keyboard on the left, and you just put your notes out, and that's how you create your music. You've got various controls. You can vary the amplitude. You can give an attack, sustain, and release to every tone. You've got you can vary the tempo, and there's a sequencer in the bottom right there for where you set the sequence of all the music. The idea is you create little patterns, and then you sequence the patterns to make the entire song. So that's my project at the moment. It's just written in BASIC. It's a tool for creating music for my games in the future. My plan is to bundle it with the next game so that everyone can use the program if they find it useful.
Which hardware are you targeting? Which sound hardware?
Well, the CoCo 3. Just the raw CoCo 3. No hardware.
Just the DAC.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a software player, so it doesn't use any of the sound chips. The idea is that it'll run on every color computer, every color computer 3, I should say. And of course, not being a sound chip means it's going to be restricted to playing it, say, not during the game. You can't play the game and play the music at the same time. This will be good for title music or any other intermission type music. But later on I may support a sound chip as well. But I do want the basic, the main game, the base game, to at least be available for all Color Computer 3 users. You shouldn't need to go out and buy a piece of hardware just to hear the music. So you'll hear some music, and maybe then I'll offer a option for support of any sound cards later on. That's it. Any other questions?
Can you play something for us right now so we can actually hear?
No, not yet. No, I have written the machine language subroutine, but because this whole thing is I'm sort of, it's a learning experience for me because I've never done music before in any of my games, so I really have started from zero as far as creating music in games. And I have written a machine language music routine But over the course of time, I've come up with other ideas. I've changed this, changed that. This latest incarnation has some changes made from some feedback from Alan Huffman last week regarding how the sequencer could work, which I've started doing. It's always changing. So although the machine code routine is in there, the music program, this composer program has been changing. So I've decided I'll finish the composer, at least if it creates all the music notation in memory. Then once I've finally decided what that format will finally be, then I'll alter my old machine code program to suit. At the moment, it won't play anything because it's changed so much. But watch this space. Now, I don't know if it's going to be as good as Simon's music player, of course. But well, as I said, I'm only new to music, so this is a learning curve for me as well.
Sure.
Yeah, well, mine's not actually good. Mine's not just designed to be fast. I mean,
yes, yeah. Yours, you may be, depending on the game, you may be able to have it playing during the game, but mine couldn't. Mine is much slower.
Yeah, I mean, I've got, what have I got at the moment for two voices? The actual note routine is around about 40 cycles, so it's less than a scan line.
Right, yeah, so that's much quicker. My one, it supports 4 voices, so you have a 4-voice playback, and you've got full...
I can see you've got some kind of envelope as well.
Yeah, there's an envelope control as well on all that, and so all that is extra processing, so there's no way I can do that as fast as yours. So this is strictly just for playing at a title screen or an intermission screen.
Yeah, so what you... I can see you've got like attack, decay, sustain, release. I'm thinking F is probably decay, right?
No, it's I've omitted the decay. It's attack, sustain, and release.
Yeah.
F is for fixed. So if you don't want to have the envelope, you can just have a fixed volume.
Okay. Right.
But you can't vary that volume. Then you can vary the amplitude of that fixed volume. That's all. So you choose between one of 2 modes.
So are you using various waveforms?
No. This one's only square waves.
Only square waves.
Only square waves, so it's a very sort of simple sound. The overtone option down the bottom allows you to it'll play the 2 square waves offset a little bit, so it'll get a bit of a better sound.
Yeah, you're playing with phases and you're playing with duty cycles.
Yeah, harmonics. Just playing with if you sacrifice 2 or more, I don't know yet, but at the moment, if you utilize 2 channels to create that overtone or that harmonic tone, then you get something that's a little bit better than just the raw square waves. So that's the idea of that. Yeah. Otherwise, it's a very simple music program. I just wanted a tool whereby I can easily compose my own tunes and sequence them all up for adding to my games in the future. So the idea was to compose my own rather than, rip off someone else's tune.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we use, for my demo music, we just use OpenMPT.
Yeah, so you can compose with that.
Yeah, it's basically just an Amiga-style tracker, OpenMPT, and you can just save it as an XM module. And
then export,
And I just got a version routine that will spit out FCBs from an XM module.
Well, you know me, I like to do things the hard way. So.
There's a suggestion there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good. It's a good learn. I mean, you learn a lot doing it.
Well, that's the thing. That, as I said, it's a learning curve. If I just exported from another program, I wouldn't learn how the whole thing works. Whereas this way, I am learning the entire process. So, hence, there is some method to my madness, I guess.
Sure.
Not to take the madness title away from you, of course.
I don't think anyone's going to do that.
Yeah.
It requires a new hairstyle at the very least.
Very cool stuff. Cool stuff. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing.
No problem.
So, but yeah, I'm actually in the middle of doing a mega demo for an international demo party. So we're going to release a CoCo free demo because there are not a lot of CoCo frees about in Europe.
No.
People have not seen this machine, so we're just going to like present C64 style, Amiga style stuff, you know, totally wacky stuff that nobody's ever seen at some international competition like Revision or something like that.
Was the CoCo 3 officially sold in Europe or just certain countries, or why was it so unpopular compared to North America and Australia?
I don't know. It was never imported to the UK, I know that much. And I know my CoCo 3, which I got from Fedor, is actually a US import. Fedor got it from a Dutch guy. It's a US import where someone's put in a different transformer, so it's 220 volt instead of 110. So I don't know really if there ever was a European CoCo 3 as such. I know Fedor's recent CoCo 3 is Australian. Because again, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, you've got 220 volts and 50 hertz, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that would, and you've got PAL. So that would potentially just be the same as a European CoCo 3.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I do know for a fact that they did produce PAL CoCo 3s, not that many, but there was some.
Yeah, it's got a daughter board for the PAL, hasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, underneath the main motherboard, if I remember.
Yeah.
And we get real composite video that matches the RGB output, which is a big plus.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, your composite out is actually just the same as RGB. The same.
That's right.
Bottom
It's derived from the RGB signal, so it's the same colors.
Yeah.
You don't have a composite,
so you
multicolor weird.
You couldn't do a
artifact. No.
No, you couldn't do a composite phase shift, or you couldn't do a 16 grayscale using the monochrome on the old composite, could you?
I don't know. I've never tried that.
You can actually get 16. I mean, if you just use the monochrome bit on the GAIM chip on the composite output, you can get 16 shades of grey.
If it's only restricted to the composite, no. I've never used that bit actually. I thought it worked for RGB as well.
No, it's composite. It's the same deal with the phase as well.
Okay. Well,
basically, all it does is turn on and off the chroma bursts.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, then no, it won't.
Yeah, so you're just going to get like black and white. It's going to be 16. It's going to be 16 grey tones, isn't it? Because it's just turning off the color signal, basically.
That'd be interesting to see some art. I know Ed Snyder did something recently with the CoCo VGA that does that. It would be kind of cool to see some grayscale art, since we didn't really have a lot of gray, even on the CoCo 3. You only had 64 colors max, but there wasn't like 16 shades of any one color.
No, I mean, you've only got. If you're looking at grey, you've only actually got 2 greys and a white, haven't you?
So, yeah, I don't even remember, but yeah, not that many.
Yeah, black, dark gray, light gray, and white.
Hey, did Brian the Music Man just join us?
You got it.
Hey, welcome, Brian.
Hey.
History has been made. I think this is the first time you've been on our show, but the Music Man is here.
We'll just talk about music with Nick, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you, Brian. And I don't know if you're up for it, but if you want to give people a little mini life story on how long you've been involved with the CoCo and CoCo events like Rainbow Fest and Penn Fest and CoCoFEST, you're welcome to share your story. And if you don't want to do it now, you don't have to.
I think Curtis and a few others out there know how long I've been doing this.
Yeah, well, we have people around the world watching us right
90s?
now. Yeah. Since the 90s. Were you at any of the Penn Fest, Brian?
I was at the 2000.
At the 2000 Penn Fest. Okay.
Yep, provided the music there too.
Yeah. And what do you have in store for us this year at CoCoFEST? Anything new?
Not really. There's been a few changes and no time.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Darn real life stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have at least the same fake drum setup as last time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I can try to fake drum again on the fake drum set. So. Very cool. What are you looking forward to this year seeing at CoCoFEST?
Everything.
Excellent. Yeah, so for those out there watching who don't know, but Brian Schubring, the Music Man, has been a tradition at least going back. Was Penn Fest the first time you did it, or did you do things before Penn
he did
Fest?
before at CoCoFEST in Chicago.
Okay.
I was part of the group with Mike Knutson, Mike Carey from down in Tennessee, and we were at the Holiday Inn in Elgin.
Wow.
That was 93. From that time on out east.
And you provide, you've got a great little setup with incredible sound system. You've got a CoCo 3 playing MIDI music through real synthesizers, so it's controlling some authentic 80s, 90s style synths being driven by a CoCo, being pumped out through incredible sound system. And so you provide the soundtrack of CoCoFEST as well as the national anthems when we start each day. We start off with at least the American and Canadian national anthem. I think one year we had the Brazilian national anthems too.
Yep.
He's definitely got the loudest CoCo in the entire fest.
Yeah, and so it's great to hear some 80s nostalgia music being played via MIDI through a CoCo. It just kind of brings the whole thing together. You are the soundtrack to our weekend.
Thank you.
And thanks for being here
today. Is my video coming through at all?
No, I just audio? See just your audio. I just see a little thing. Yeah. Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing, Nick, your little work in progress there. It looks like Jason's doing Popstar Pilot now, too, so maybe Jason will get a little farther than I did using Richard's new joystick adapter.
That's not hard to do.
Oh, a shameless plug, right?
Got the joystick adapter and using a Sega gamepad right now.
There you go. I ought to try that. Instead of using the stick, I should try to do that with maybe a D-pad. It might be a little bit easier, less range of motion to have to deal with. Very cool. All right, so how about we take another quick, brief sponsor break, and then we'll come back with how about your question of the week we'll do next, Grant. Does that work for you?
Yep, looks good. Looks good for me.
All right, so we'll be right back in just a minute here, folks, with the question of the week with Grant Leighty.
Hey, have you got your CoCo 3 yet? Hi, this is Rick Adams, author of Temple of Ram and Shanghai, and you've tuned into CoCoTALK, the nation's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy color computer.
What's going on, everybody? The original gamer Stevie Stroh here, and I want to talk to you about I'mACoconut.com. If you love the color computer like I love the color computer, then you got to visit I'mACoconut.com, your one-stop shop for all of your Tandy color computer links needs. There you'll find links to blogs and podcasts and project sites and emulators and downloads and groups and communities. If you love the color computer, head on over to I'mACoconut.com. That's IMACoconut.com. Tell them the original gamer Stevie Stroh sent you. CoCo forever, people.
Yes, we do. Bruce mentioned that we need an updated bumper from Rick Adams that says not only Temple of Ram and Shanghai, but Bomb Threat too, right? Not to mention whatever his current project's going to be called, because we want to get some mileage out of that, right? Rick was with us earlier. I don't know what happened. We lost Rick, but he's here. There's Brian.
Yeah, Joel came by, and I guess they're making some Easter egg baskets for the kids, so he had to run.
Hey, Brian, good to see you. Literally. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Brian Schubring, the Music Man, and Tom C is here. Took a break from listening to Packet Radio to stop by and see us. Thanks, Tom. And so now, and I don't have a little infographic for you, Grant. I'm sorry, because I had to redo my whole broadcast software, so I don't have a lead-in for Grant Leighty. But let's just say, ladies and gentlemen, coming up with the question of the week, we have Grant Leighty, everybody.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thank you very much. So this is going to be a question probably from more of the hardware guys. As we were on Discord here a couple nights ago, there was a discussion about what things we can, when you're working on your CoCo, what things do we not have to reinstall and throw away, and what things we should put back on the CoCo to make sure it runs properly in the future. Richard, you probably know more about what I'm asking for than anybody else here, if you want to take that.
You're talking about the EMI shield, which is it's like a little mylar plastic silver thing that is connected to the bottom of the motherboard. Is that you're talking about that one, right?
Correct.
Okay. It can't. The thing is, the color computer, along with the other appliances back in the early days, would emit a lot of frequencies, and they would interfere with TVs and other appliances and things, like radios and things like that had ham radio. And so the FCC basically mandated to cut down on that noise, and that's why they put these type of things in there. And sometimes it does interfere with other equipment. It's just good practice to keep those things on whenever possible. Some people just, I don't know, for whatever reason, sometimes they keep them off. But when I ever repair a computer like that, I usually put them back on. So.
Cool.
Well, back in the day when Tandy was doing their machine, especially the TRC Model 1, they virtually had no shielding on their machine. Well, Atari, when they came out with their system, especially the 400, 800, they actually used cast aluminum to shield the RF on the machines. It was the joke that their systems were able to withstand a nuclear attack because they had so much damn shielding on them. But after they went through and perfected their shielding, they went to the FCC and tattled on Tandy and Apple and all the other guys that were emitting too much RF. Their idea was they were hoping to cut down the competition by literally getting the FCC to say you have to go back and redesign your machines and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it became a big deal back in the day that you couldn't have this RF radiation coming out of the machine. And it doesn't just come out like the bottom of the PC board. It can come out the joystick connectors. It could come out when you've got the disk drive plugged in through the cable and like that. And there was things done where you had to shield the disk drive cable. So there was a lot of stuff going on to try and keep those machines happy. And really, the people that tattled the most after Atari was the ham radio operators. They would get up there and they would actually use their equipment to find the house that was emitting the RF, and they would go knock on the person's door and try and figure out what was creating it. And if it was some mass-produced computer, that became a write-up that they had sent off to the FCC that computer needs to be checked out. So there's a lot of tattling going on back then.
So this would cause like the interference on our cordless telephones back in the day, correct?
That and the fact that also if the frequency was just right, it would actually cause problems for you to be able to have that RF modulator connected up to the TV. You would actually interfere with that signal. So to a certain degree, with the color computer, it became important to keep the RF down, not so much on the TRC Model 1 and 3.
Because they had their own monitors.
Yeah, they weren't using RF to connect to the monitors. So yeah, there was a lot of issues back then. But these machines were designed to operate correctly with the shields installed. You remove the shields, it changes the characteristics of the machine. It could change the RF, it could change the RAM timing, it could change a lot of stuff. So really, if you want to keep your color computer in tip-top condition, after you have the work done, do put the shield back on. It will work better.
Good advice, good advice.
What about this shielding here?
Hold on one second. Ron's got something here. Okay, tinfoil hat.
Any effect at all?
You need to wear this.
You need it, Ron.
Yeah, well,
that's for sure.
I think that's personal preference.
If you're going to listen to David Ladd talk about MSPs and TTLs, you might need that too. So.
No, that you need heavy duty. You need like a lead box.
Now listen here, you guys.
We have.
And one last thing about RF shielding. It really helps protect the computer from the dreaded oops. If you got the shielding on in place while you're mucking around inside the machine, there's less things to short it out on, especially at the bottom of the circuit board. So leave it on.
There you have it.
Much, guys.
There you have it, folks. Was that your only question, Grant?
Well, we'll ask one other question here real quick. It's a quick one. When you're working on your computer and you're updating like the memory or updating other chips, should you keep the old chips?
Yes.
Okay.
Either keep them or sell them.
Yep. They're reusable. Somebody can use them.
Yep.
Don't
keep
throw them away
in case something goes wrong, or if it works okay, then you can sell them to somebody else. A good point is some of the CoCo 2s that use the two 4464 chips. That's the same chips the CoCo 3 128K uses, so you could sell a CoCo 3 128 as two 64K upgrades for the later CoCo 2s.
Mm-hmm. Or bring them to CoCoFEST and put them in the auction.
Yep.
Is it important to be grounded when you're playing with memory chips?
No static? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We live in
you
Arizona.
should also be using the
Especially in Arizona.
service straps. You should be wearing those, if at all possible, to keep from damaging the RAM and the machine.
Will that clip onto my hat?
It clips onto your aluminum hat and your self-grounding. Yeah.
Okay.
Just don't have any 112 volt devices on the workbench at the time.
No. Well, Bruce Moore is in the live chat. He's not with us live on the show, but we can run the CoCo Forever teaser too, since Bruce is out there right now. So let's go ahead and look at this. This is a project that you will see in person for the first time at CoCoFEST this year, and it is also, we got an exclusive sneak peek at some of this on the bonus episode that we recorded last weekend that will be available on the DVD and is also now available to our patrons. So we recorded an exclusive bonus episode of CoCoTALK that will also have a sneak peek at episode 1 of CoCo Forever. So here's your teaser trailer. Fasten your seatbelt, kiddies.
Imagine a different world. A world where Tandy Corporation has the upper hand. Where the CoCo surpassed all competitors. And all you have to do is travel back in time without making a single mistake.
CoCo Forever.
How does it feel? I'm still believing.
You definitely earned this office.
Yes, you're too kind, and thank you.
You want to grab some food before we head back and look at that Alt Reality OS9 module?
It's only 40 years past due, but yeah, sure.
How does it feel? I'm still believing.
There you have it. There is the teaser for CoCo Forever. I'm not saying it's a CoCo project, but it could be. And so Ken is in the live chat too. Ken says, "Great Scott!" And I'm just curious, Ken, because you had brother Jason come visit you last weekend. We got to see Jason in the car on the Ohio. Was it the Ohio Turnpike? Was it, Jason?
Right.
Yeah. So we got to see Jason in the car on his way to go see brother Ken, and Ken's got his CoCo. What's it like? Hey, Ken, and I have a question for you.
Hey, you got your CoCo 3 yet?
Have you got a CoCo 3 now, Ken? And tell us what it's like having a real CoCo 3 in your hands. And what are you going to do with all of that power? Because with the great power comes great responsibility.
Oh.
Hold on.
Settle down, David.
Hey, Richard, I will play rap music, I swear. He says,
No,
take over the
push
world.
that button.
Take over the world, Pinky.
We do every night.
Take over the world. Oh, dear God. Good stuff. Good stuff. We do have another segment to get into. We have our Why Did Tandy Do That? Because I need a new SCART to HDMI converter. If only someone had come up with that product, if there was not one but possibly two vendors available with a SCART to HDMI solution. What a world this would be.
That's that future world we saw the ad for earlier, isn't it?
He has a switcheroo cable. It just needs to get a different converter box.
Now he needs a converter box. So he's actually got a switcheroo.
He has the second ever made switcheroo, and if that's bad or good, I don't know. And he's got it. No, but it's marked on the inside. But don't tear it apart. Now he has a SCART converter box, but it didn't support RGB, so he has to get a different one.
Okay. Hey, real quick too, before we get into why did Tandy do that, I do want to show this off because this is a shameful plug, but it's also, if you guys are interested in getting any of the CoCo merchandise, and so here's the swag shop, right? So this is 8bit256.com. We've got a lot of different designs. So we've got our CoCo designs. We've got the original CoCoTALK design. We've got the deluxe. You can get a Popstar Pilot. We've got a NES, a Sega Genesis. We've got an Atari 2600. We got a lot of different designs, including a couple of different I'm a Coconut designs. So there's a variety of images. Speaking of why Rick Adams is not here, because his son Joel Adams was with him, and Joel did most of all this artwork with the exception of Popstar Pilot. So these are all custom drawn designs by Joel Adams. And there is a promo this weekend. So the promo code, which will show up on the website too. So if you go to the website, it'll say you've got 3 days left. So if you use a promo code FS18, you will get free shipping all the way through April 2nd. So that would be Monday, I guess, right?
Yep.
So free shipping on all products. What I will also try to do before then is I'm going to upload the image for CoCoTALK After Dark. So if anybody would like to get a CoCoTALK After Dark t-shirt, coffee mug, mouse pad, adult diaper, we will have that image available for you too. So that's not there now. That's been something I've been meaning to do. So hopefully coming soon to a swag shop near you will be CoCoTALK After Dark. So now let's get on to our next segment of the show. Why did Tandy do that? And of course, this segment would not be complete without a jingle by Alan Huffman. So let's enjoy this.
Tell me why did Tandy do that?
I love those jingles. The only thing I like better than those jingles is the rap song. So we have a question from that guy who made Zaxxon, Steve Bjork.
Right now, though, I'm trying to get this image out of my head of a CoCo After Dark on an adult diaper. I'm trying to get that out of my head. Please help me.
I missed that item in the shop. I didn't see that. I guess I'm going to have to look harder.
I think Stevie posed for that one.
I just
want to claw my eyes out.
That image on my head. on why did Tandy do that. It basically has to do with the fact that why are the in-game sounds and stuff like that so bad on the CoCo? Yeah, it got a little better later on, but why? Well, when you compare it to other systems that were out at the time and like that, they had something called a sound chip. And we've been talking a lot about how the CoCo should have a sound chip. And I can go into why we don't have one on the CoCo 3 and we didn't get the deluxe color computer and yada yada. Tandy did know that was an important thing, but when they were designed the CoCo, they're using a specification from Motorola for a computer using a 6809. And in that specification, well, Motorola didn't sell a sound chip, so they left it out. There's a bunch of them were available on the market at the time. Some of them weren't that bad in price, but we didn't get it. So to do sound on the CoCo, you have to basically have the CPU move the speaker. It'll generate the audio. It will move the speaker. So every time, let's say you've got something that is a middle C, which is, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, about 440 hertz.
Yeah, it's an A, but it's cool.
That's
A, whatever. But let's go with that frequency. That means that the computer is actually going to have to go in there and change the speaker 880 times a second. That is a lot of work. And how do you do the timing for that and still do graphics and everything else? Well, one of the first things they found, and of course I did too, is that we can do white noise or random noise stuff while we're doing graphics, and that works very good for explosions. So while I'm drawing a little bit of graphic, I will then stop and move the speaker, literally change the value, and then do a little bit more graphing, etc. And then I just keep changing the speaker value, how much I moved it by, less and less, and that's how I got an explosion. But if you look at the game Dino Wars, every time the dinos roared, the game stopped to play the audio. And this is typical. Now, we did get better. We did learn little tricks, little techniques to make the audio work. And then in the case of the CoCo 3, we've got a precision timer that we could say fire at 880 times a second. And then what we would do is move the speaker every time we got that fire. And we could generate a tone that was exactly 440 hertz. And that's basically, in a nutshell, why that's that way. Now, Tandy did know, as I said, that this problem generating audio needed a bit of hardware that would go off and do it. They put a sound chip in the deluxe color computer, and the deluxe color computer never came out because of the MC10. And people wonder why I hate the MC10. Because if we had that sound chip in the deluxe computer, it would have been mandated that it would have been in the color computer 3. So that's part of the problem. Now, we've all been working on this. People have come out with different solutions. Now, myself, I think I'm going to support Sur Sound, which is a project that Alan's been working on. Not only is it got a sound chip in it, it has a CPU chip that handles a lot of the work I would have to do as a game developer to play a particular sound or note. I can shove that information off to the Sur soundboard and let it do it, and I can just concentrate on the game. Now, a game like, for example, let's see, Super Pitfall, 25% of its time was spent doing sound. Now, you can imagine that the game would run 25% faster if I didn't have to do all that sound work, which Sur Sound will do for me.
Mm-hmm.
So these are some of the things that are going on, but that's the reason why Tandy did it. Motorola did not have a sound chip at the time.
Now, did Motorola ever come up with one later?
I don't recall. I don't remember seeing a spec for anything like that from Motorola, but that's, yeah, as I said, the Color Computer 3 was a Motorola designed computer. They just took the spec and went with it.
We do have a question from the live chat. Jason's brother, Ken, says, who knighted Sir Sound? Is he like Dr. Pepper?
Well, as I recall, Dr. Pepper, he had to do a thesis. But, yeah, I'm definitely supporting. If I come out with another game and there's a couple things I'm working on, I'm going to support that. His Sir Sound. I think it's the way to go. You would be able to play music at any time. I could be off loading a disk file. I could be hard at work playing the actual in-game logic, and it will do everything. It will do the envelopes. It will do the attack delay. It will do what's needed to make beautiful sounding music.
Excellent.
And the fact that he's hooking it into BASIC, too, makes it easy for the beginning programmer to use it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the thing is, right now, he's very good at supporting ideas. Nick, you had a nice conversation with Alan after the show last week, and I think it was last week, and didn't you guys come up with a few things together?
Gee, I've got to remember back that far. But I do remember it was a very productive discussion, yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good. He's very good. And as I mentioned just before, he made the suggestion about my sequencing in my program, which I've taken on board. So he's very helpful, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I see as the beauty of this system, too, is it's supported by somebody that understands music theory. He's a musician himself. He is very dedicated on getting all this stuff done. And so it's not a situation where, like, I've came up with the hardware. Okay, you guys go do something with it. He is working with you to help create the good sound.
There you go.
So,
by the way, Sir Sound interface via the Bitbanger port, the RS-232 port, and I do know of another device that's being developed by a gentleman that will give you 3 RS-232 ports off your CoCo when you plug it in. So there's going to be a lot of RS-232 options to support it. And once you buy Sir Sound, plug it into the machine, you don't have to worry about rebuying the hardware again and again and again. You already have the hardware, and it could be used as software that comes on disk or on cartridge or whatever.
Yeah, and it takes no slots in a multi-pack or anything either, too. So
Yep.
Doesn't even require a multi-pack.
Yep. So, yeah, it's we're finally getting a solution to Tandy's lack of vision when they first built the machine. They didn't think it was that important. Just like they didn't think that sprites were that important or scrolling maps were that important.
Well,
and these are things that could have really been used.
I agree 100%, but yeah, you have to wonder. Number one, Tandy, well, they did actually develop and design the TRS-80. That had to be engineered from scratch. So in that case, the TRS-80 was a literally in-house engineered project, and we got to give them credit for that. Now, when it came to the CoCo, as you mentioned, it's all based on Motorola reference designs, and Motorola has a vested interest to want to sell the things they make. And as you mentioned, this was something they didn't make, and Tandy, for whatever reason, didn't think any further than that design. And all the things you're mentioning, like a sound chip and hardware scrolling, and all those things you're mentioning are really game centric. And on the one hand, Tandy did want to sell this as a multi-purpose entertainment learning tool, small business tool, but none of that focused on things that would make developing games easier or the game quality better. None of that was really considered. And
well, yes and no. They were starting to listen to us game designers, and some of us bitched and some of us actually gave pretty good arguments. But all through the company, they started to understand that this problem with sound cannot be fixed by throwing more CPU at it. You do need a sound chip, and they did that with the Tandy 1000.
Right, and at that point they shift priority, I think.
And they did release the sound and speech cartridge, don't forget.
Yeah.
Right.
Be very bad.
That was always something they said. Well, you could always make your game work with that. And I'm going, yeah, but if I make my cartridge game work with it, they have to have a multi-pack and the card. And we're now looking at the multi-pack was what, $300, wasn't it?
I don't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, it was at least 180 even later on. So
yeah. And then you had $100 for the speech sound pack. So, well,
it's an expensive game.
You could have bought a Commodore 64 for that price, and that had a sound chip built in.
Now, a lot of my games did support the speech sound pack.
Yeah.
Whether it be just for music or and sound effects. I never did. Well, I can't think I did put speech in one game. I think it was Ghana
Buana, yeah.
But but that's why Tandy did in the beginning. It was not part of the moral aspect. Yeah, they saved money not doing that too. But it's been a handicap for us in developing games and such.
Mm-hmm.
Attractive games compared to other platforms.
Right.
All right. So you posed the question of you started off basically with the statement they did not give us the product. So if we were to theorize why, or is part of that answer already because Motorola didn't spec it, or initially was it just they didn't want to spend any extra money as well, or
they went strictly with the Motorola spec. All the parts in there, they were Motorola chips. Mm-hmm. They stayed with that spec. They didn't want to put extra design time in. Now, you have to say, though, when they came up with the Color Computer 3, they designed the gimme.
Right.
And they threw all the stuff in there. Mm-hmm. But they had a cost limitation of what they could throw in into that gimme chip. Otherwise, it started making the chip too expensive. So that's why we didn't get sound option on the gimme. And all we did get was a programmable timer. Well, we used the programmable timer to do the sound. Not the best way to do it, but we got the sound done.
Right. I noticed there was the quality of the audio and the frequency of audio in games seemed to go up on CoCo 3 specific games. I noticed, I'm kind of new to CoCo 3 games. I really started playing them like a year ago. So I was really impressed with how many of them did have background. Like one of the ones they're showing right now, Pack Dude Monster Maze that Jason's playing. That's got background music the whole time and hardware-based scrolling. So a lot of that going on in CoCo 3 stuff. I guess the combination of a little bit more CPU speed and, as you mentioned, this other gimme programmable feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the programmable timer.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it just basically, if you got the CPU doing sound, the more work the CPU has to do, the better the sound's going to get because of that more work. Now, if you're trying to do a lot of other things, that's when the sound goes down in quality.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why a lot of the CoCo 1 and 2 games especially, they would have 4-voice music that didn't sound too bad, but only during like splash screens, kind of like what Nick was talking about with his project. So you'd have like an intro screen like on Draconian, which has some fancy 4-voice music. But once the game actually started, I think the only game I remember that tried to use multi-voice music in-game in a CoCo 1 and 2 was Grabber. And it's not moving a ton of graphics. That's one of the reasons that one worked.
Right.
You should actually try a Dragon game. What's it called? Superboy.
Super Kid?
Super Kid, yeah.
Yeah, it has good... But that music is not in-game either, right?
But it's got speech and stuff like that in-game.
There's actually one called Crazy Painter for the CoCo 1 and 2 that has music in-game.
Yeah, you were playing that earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed too, like speaking of Zaxxon, and you mentioned you mentioned how you had to program it where you sent a little bit of sound to the speaker in between graphics routines. When you start flying, and especially before the island comes into the screen, when you start shooting your lasers, you can hear the poof, poof, poof. You can hear those firing, and it sounds very smooth and fluid. And as soon as the brick wall comes in and you start shooting, the sound slows down a little bit too, right? Because everything's being sliced with the CPU. And you can almost tell how much routine is going on in the program by the shot sound. If the shot sound is unstuttered and happening very quickly, then there's less CPU chunks being swallowed, and as more graphics enter in, the sound starts to stutter a little bit. And That's one thing I noticed in games, and even though I don't understand hardware and I don't understand assembly, and I didn't back then as a teenager either, I knew enough to know that I appreciated what people did to get the CoCo to do what it did. We all kind of knew that we had this machine that was a crazy kind of special. There was something cool about it, but there was a lot of things that just didn't have, and despite those limitations, people found a way to produce things that were of the quality they were, of just top-notch commercial quality. And to me, that makes it even more special, because when you don't have the graphics chips and the sound chips, and you still manage to pull off something, and honestly, like the gold standard for a while was the ColecoVision, and it had all the hardware assists. But when Donkey King came out and Zaxxon for the CoCo came out, using nothing but software, we beat that gold standard. When I say we, you guys, you created a product that was better than these other flagship things, and it just made me really proud, and really helped me appreciate what that machine could do in the right hands.
Well, one thing is, if you have a machine that has more primitive capabilities, and the Apple II people can vouch for this too, you had to become way more innovative on how you wrote routines. You didn't just quickly use a chip that was already built in. So a lot of the games you see in the Apple II and on the CoCo really pushed the limits, and I think came up with some just ingenious methods of getting things done because of those limitations. So it's kind of an oddity that we had better programming algorithms stuff being done on our machines because of the limitations of the hardware.
Also, there's a certain thing about when you have simpler hardware, like the CoCo 1, 2, and 3, especially the 1, 2, it is easier to learn. You don't have so much that you're having to deal with. Trust me, if you had deal with display lists that were on the Atari computer, you'd go nuts for a few months trying to figure out how they worked as far as you're putting up graphics on the screen.
There's Jason playing Zaxxon down there.
With the right color set, you'll notice.
Yes.
There's a lot of videos on YouTube where it's using the wrong color set. Drives me nuts.
Yeah, I hate that.
Well, I know with the CoCo 3 to go ahead and do the F1 reset for anything that Steve's written.
Yep. But one of the things about the game too, trying to keep it smooth, is I had a frame lock where sometimes you had less graphics going on, it would be faster. Other times, it had to do more work, so it'd be slower on the frame rate. But I wanted the frame rate to be identical, so I had a lock on that said there would be so many frames or so many fields would go by before I switched the images. And basically, you're running at about, on Zaxxon, you're running 15 frames per second. And if I had extra time, I went into a little routine that would do a slight delay and then do a sound effect, slight delay, and something moving the speaker. And that's, Stevie picked up on that. That's exactly what's happening. Is I'm having to spend more work doing graphics, so I'm spending less time in that routine that's waiting for the proper time to switch to the other page, the other screen.
Gives it nice consistency, though.
I have another confession since you're here, Steve. One time back in the 80s, I had a copy of Zaxxon on disc, and I figured out where your name was, and I poked my name in there and resaved it.
The fact that you guys share the same first name probably made that a bit easier.
I forgot I think what I changed it to say was something like "Cool Steve" because I had to make the letters match exactly because it wasn't, it was all plain text. I could see where it said Steve Bjork and as I was reading through memory. So I think I just made it say "Cool Steve," and I'm like, "Hey guys, look at this game I made." I showed my friends. Right? So.
Well, all you had to do was make it the same length or shorter and put a 0 at the end of it.
Ah, okay.
That was my end of string, was a 0. Because I didn't tell it how many characters to do. But, of course, you couldn't do more characters because you'd ruin the day that came behind it.
Right. We have a question from Mr. Robot Shop in the live chat, and I'm assuming he's asking you, since he says, Steve, what was your favorite game to make and play?
I'm sitting there stuttering because I'm trying to remember. See, as far as favorite game to play, after playing the game literally tens of thousands of times while developing it, you kind of get tired of the game.
Right.
It's boring, doesn't it?
You were your own playtester?
Yeah. I think probably either Rampage or Arkanoid, only because those projects, I didn't play them, 10,000 times or 100,000 times. The games were, while Rampage was done in about 30 days, 31 days, Arkanoid, I think, was about 6 weeks. So, I knew what I had to do. I got in there, I got it done. And at the end, I wasn't so bored with the game that I could sit down and play it. Besides, Arkanoid, they gave me everything I needed to know exactly how the levels were done and like that. And I don't think it was until I got into the testing phase that I actually made it all the way through the entire game.
I was going to ask you, actually, did you do Bash first and then Arkanoid, or was it the other way around?
I did Bash first, and that's what got Tandy thinking, hey, I could do Arkanoid pretty good.
Okay.
And then the agreement was that after I got the contract for Arkanoid, that Bash would be pulled off the market. They didn't want to see the competition. But I got paid pretty good money, so I was happy to do that. A lot more than I was making selling the product third party, that's for sure.
Yeah. How was Bash being distributed? Was that SRB software at that point?
That was GamePoint software.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Pete Ellison's.
Yeah. But
so they asked another company to take their product off the market?
Yep. Well,
Wow.
see, the thing is, he was just selling them for me. I didn't
okay. So you were basically the decision maker there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it would have been like a data soft where, or something like that. Okay. Okay. So basically it's just it's saying, listen, we're going to pay you anyways, but we're going to pay you through us and whatever. You're not going to get paid from him anymore type of thing. So
Now, was it the same situation with Mine Rescue and Super Pitfall? Because those look like the same engine as well.
They were actually, Mine Rescue did come after Super Pitfall. I wanted to do a simpler version of the game. One that wasn't so massive. I still remember literally printing up the levels that made up Super Pitfall, and they covered an entire wall in my office.
Wow.
It is a big game. I do remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I never finished it.
It's so weird. It's like an anti-Pitfall game too. It's really like a platformer, and a platformer with a gun.
Well, it was developed by Nintendo, or one of their third parties that was under assignment of Nintendo. So it was a Nintendo game. So they decided to change it for the way the Japanese market likes to do platform games, with guns and bullets and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Looks like Coco Man's doing pretty good on Zaxxon over there. So
yeah, I've been watching him.
Doing you proud. So
he must be enjoying Richard's
joystick adapter, huh?
Yeah. That's it. Another shameless plug.
Boyson Tech. That's right. Boyson Tech. Boyson.
I'm playing with a Sega Genesis controller right now.
Yeah, I got to come up with a name with it.
Yeah, I've got a plaque that Datasoft put together for me after the game was done. It was one of the first production boxes to be shipped out. And on the plaque it says, "Thank you very much for all your sleepless nights and long weekends."
Did they?
I guess they forgot that I worked during the week too.
You just made me think of something. Was there anything like a gold record that you may have received, from reaching a certain number of sales or anything like that from either Tandy or other, Datasoft or anybody?
It's amazing. Back in those days in the industry, nobody liked to talk about sales, how much you're doing. And it was, it's not like the record industry when you get a gold record, and they want to present to you and stuff like that. No, they just want to keep it secret, because if anybody found out that you had the idea that was worth money, that actually did that, whether it be selling a game in a particular market or a particular game or a particular aspect. They consider that company assets, and they don't want that information to get out. So no, it was like, I'd go up to them and say, "Well, how's Axon doing?" They'd say, "It's doing good." And I'm going, "How many sales do we have?" "Oh, good enough."
Is it doing?
So you never got specific numbers.
I never got specific numbers when I was at Datasoft. They would never tell me what it was. And then the only way I knew from Tandy what the sales were on some of the games is because their accounting had to figure it out because I was paid royalties.
Hmm.
Yeah, and Zaxxon was a contract, so it wasn't a royalty-based payment for you, was it?
No, there were some bonuses for royalties and like that, and I was going to get a hell of a bonus for the disc version for twofold. One, as I came up with a good, fast way of making the disc, and two, they were just considered special. And then something happened where Tandy decided they weren't going to sell the disc version. Thank you, Marty Goodman. Look that one up somewhere. But
I think we've heard the story before on here.
Yeah. But yeah, it just it was tough trying to find out what the numbers were.
Could they even give you a clue, like, let's say it's somewhere between Popcorn and Megabug with a side order of Clowns and Balloons or anything like that?
All I know that two factors that would come in was disc sales were a little bit lower than cassette sales because everybody had a cassette, not everybody had disc.
Gotcha.
And if you did a difference in price between the two, whichever was the cheapest is the one that always sold the most. So if you had the cassettes for about $3 cheaper than the disc version,
right,
those sold like gangbusters. Though one interesting comment from our customer service support at Datasoft was they had one guy, he bought the version and bitch and complained he could not get it to load. It just wouldn't load. He said he followed the directions, it wouldn't load. Turns out, he did buy the cassette version and tried to load in his floppy disk drive.
Jeez.
And floppy disk drive was faster, so it should load it faster.
That was just surprised he got the cassette tape into the drive.
Yeah.
When those full height ones might have had enough room, if you lift up the latch, the old silver dinosaur ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just you wonder about some people. Discs go in disc, cassettes go in cassette.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yep. Anyways, but basically, that's why Tandy did it. It was the spec that Motorola had, and it kept. But the system was simple, and you had to do all the work. You had to do the graphics. You had to do the sound. You had to do everything. And it made it easier for people to learn how to do the system.
Well, didn't the project originate as the Project Green Thumb design? That terminal?
Oh, the Videotex style terminal? But
right.
A little bit before the CoCo one did?
Yeah. Project Green Thumb was the first project they got in on before it even became Videotex, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
if it predated CoCo, it's probably that.
Yeah.
All they needed was the nuclear green screen to emulate a green screen monitor, and they didn't need sound, and they wanted to sell chips, so they put as many of them in as they could.
No, it's the same reference design, it appears,
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
6847, the SAM, and the 6809, and all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the SAM also made for cheaper memory because you use dynamic memory chips. Since they didn't use the SAM in the MC10, they had to use the more expensive static. That's why there was only 4K of RAM in there.
Oh, interesting. That some of those design choices affected other things.
Yep. Yeah, a static cell requires an entire flip-flop, which can be anywhere from 4 to 8 transistor junctions, where a dynamic RAM cell is basically half of a transistor. So you can see the physical size of storing a bit on a static opposed to dynamic memory is quite a bit more dense on a dynamic RAM. Hence how much cheaper they are.
Roger that.
But the only problem is that cell that has that bit in there forgets its information after a little while. And that's what the SAM chip did, is it refreshed the memory so it wouldn't forget.
Almost like a capacitor, so to speak?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. A reverse bias diode, it was storing the charge as a capacitor. A really, 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 really small capacitor.
Cool
and
stuff.
We still use it today.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Dynamic RAM is much cheaper than static RAM. So yeah, it is definitely an exciting time for sound. So we just have Dan Loyal just chimed in here in the sidebar here. You should test the new adapter with the latest Runner Beta 4.1 that supports Sega Joypad and both buttons. Runner Beta 4.1. Is that a CoCo game?
Load Runner.
Oh, latest Load Runner Beta 4.1.
It's probably the port.
Okay, is that Mark McDougall's?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Okay, we'll try that. We'll look that up. We'll check out his site. By the way, Mark McDougall's site can be found on imacoconut.com. Shameful plug there. Yeah, we'll try that. So, yeah, it's an exciting time for sound hardware. And we are mentioning now, the question was, why did Tandy's sound sucked? Because Tandy didn't have a sound chip. We now have multiple sound chip options. Ed Snyder has got an option that's called SGM?
PSG.
CoCo PSG.
PSG. I can't get. Okay, PSG, programmable sound generator. Right. So Ed Snyder has a solution. Ed Snyder's solution absolutely would require a multi-pack to use, and luckily he happens to sell those too. The mini MPI. Oh, you have one there. Okay. Now, Alan's working on the Sursound, which will not require a multi-pack. Will work from a serial port or an RS-232 port. And then there is also the Game Master. Is it GMC? Game Master cartridge?
Yeah, cartridge. Yeah.
And so I know sometimes we will possibly misquote what the intent of the Game Master cartridge is, and so in an attempt to not misquote or misrepresent that, what I will say about this, because I know in the past when we've talked about that, the phrase "it needs a multi-pack" might come up, and I think that's not completely accurate, because I believe, and again, I don't want to misrepresent the intent, but what I'm pretty sure is public knowledge is that the Game Master cartridge, it was designed for you to put your game on that cartridge. So if your game is on that ROM cartridge and the sound chip is in the ROM cartridge and you're playing it from the cartridge, it absolutely does not require a multi-pack in that intended design. Now, to develop for it, that's a different story, but you can also do that in MAME.
Can I just plug something there, because the most recent build of XRAW supports that sound cartridge as well.
The Game Master cartridge?
Yes, the most recent build of XRAW has that built in.
That's cool. So
cool.
you can
So
develop
both MAME and XRAW then.
So now we have a few development options there, emulation development options.
Yeah.
Because
Kieran was asking me to test something, to test some stuff out, because
excellent.
Yeah, so we got some stuff worked out.
And don't forget John Strong's sound option.
And you can still use Sursound in your development system too if you're using MAME or whatever, because they also support an RS-232 port.
Okay. There you go. So yeah, it's an interesting time on sound options. And while sound hardware is hardware, and all this hardware exists in a variety of ways, what it really boils down to now is the musicians to compose and the developers to develop games to produce this sound and music. And unfortunately, the developers we have that are currently actively putting out CoCo products, we can kind of count them on one hand. We need more developers. We need more products out there. That's one of my pleas. But we do have Simon's working on things. We have Nick working on things. Rick Adams, John Strong, Paul Thayer. I'm trying to remember all the different people making stuff. There's the more people enter the fray. But when it comes to like the commercial products that we can purchase on an annual basis. We're lucky to get maybe, 3 to half a dozen new products per year. It would be nice to have more people developing software to take advantage of this sound hardware.
Yeah, we just need to hire Steve Ballmer to go developers, and
Well, let's not write off the built-in DAC completely. It still is quite a capable sound system, especially when it's on a CoCo 3 using the timers.
Yes,
you
it
can
is.
actually create some pretty good sound.
Yes, it is.
There are limitations. You can't do everything that a sound chip can do.
You can.
It does still take up CPU time. So depending on your game, that could create some restrictions. But I'm just wondering, I'm just going to play some sound effects that I developed a while back for my latest game. I don't know if I'm sharing the audio. Just tell me if you can hear this.
Yeah.
Did that come through?
Yeah.
Well, these are sample sounds. These are running an interrupt-driven sound routine that will be used in my my current game, Gunstar. And these are fairly optimized. I haven't actually done the math, but they do utilize fairly low CPU time. It's a two-channel sound system. So I've already got the sound effects for that. What you heard just then was a laser fire for my spaceship. I've also got, that was the laser fire. And now I've got an explosion, a warning alert, a smaller explosion, collection of objects.
Yeah.
Enemy fire. That's a smart bomb. And then what I did also, I tried to simulate what it will actually be like in the game because it's a two-channel sound system, I can actually play two sounds at once. So I can have a gunshot and an explosion going off. So I tried to simulate roughly what an actual game would play with these built-in sounds. So here's a simulated, what do they call that? Audio soundscape. So it's still going, is it? Blast it, stop. The war is over. So you can still do a fair bit with the built-in DAC. You can't play music. The sound effects that I use are sound samples. It's the same as what was used in Donkey Kong and in what the Glenn used for his Pac-Man. Sound samples are actually easier to do because all the work's been done. So all you're doing is piping data to the DAC. So you can do that fairly quickly. Yeah. If you want to generate tones, though, that needs a bit more work where the CPU has to generate the entire tone. And that takes up more time, and it will be restricted on the type of games that you can use it in. So I wouldn't write off the DAC completely. I mean, getting some of these sound chips to do those sort of sound effects is pretty complicated. Can be done.
Nick, I want to interrupt you. On Super Pitfall, it played music while the game was playing.
Yes, but it depends on the amount of CPU time. Gunstar's going to have a fair bit of graphics moving about, so it really does eat up a fair bit of CPU.
Well, I also said that it took 25% of the CPU cycles.
And you're not doing full screen scrolling. You actually had a window.
I had to do a window down,
Now,
if I had 512K, I could have done full screen.
Yeah, it all depends on the type of game you're doing. I mean, Photon on the CoCo 3 is actually very good. If you've ever played that, that's got very good sound and Contras. And Contras, yeah. But what I'm doing in Gunstar is going to have a lot more CPU time in there, and I'm going to use the 6309 as well. But even then, it'll be pushing it. So for sampled sound effects, I can do a pretty good job with the built-in DAC. Music, well, maybe we can support a sound chip later on down the track and have a, if it detects a sound card, it'll play music in the background. I don't know, that's looking ahead too far.
And of course, there's still my sound matrix that I'm working on. It's not going to be ready for the show, but it has 6 MP3 players on there. So I can play 6 fully orchestrated sound effects in either WAV or MP3 format at the same time. And all the CoCo has to do is just say, play it. Just send a 1-byte command, and it goes off and does it. And this is from my haunt industry stuff for Halloween things and stuff like that. But I figured, hey, at the same time, I'll make it available for the CoCo. So if you want to do full orchestrated music, sound effects, everything else, that's an option too.
So Justin Bieber in the background of playing Popstar Pilot.
Yep, there you go.
Did you say Justin Bieber?
Not as opposed to Justin's Bieber.
That'd make a believer out of me. So yeah, Bruce Moore says, when are we going to have Funstar on ROM cartridge? Good stuff.
I thought Funstar was finished years ago.
Yeah, it was finished in a weekend.
No, we're talking about Funstar 2.
Yes.
The 512K ROM cartridge version.
It's up to version 8.
CoCo Man and Grant were both upside down for you, Nick, in proper Australian salute. Yeah, so.
Well, no. Everyone else was upside down.
They were right side up. Huh?
They was the only one the right way up. Oh, now we've got...
There we go.
Nick,
well, CoCo Man was doing it right with a map of Australia, though.
Yeah.
Upside down.
Well, Grant now has his propeller on the floor.
Looks like it's shaving his head.
That's what happened to David.
Nick, that's a running gag, by the way, the propeller.
Well, that does bring up one thing that the CoCo was better at in producing sound, and that's playing back sound samples. If you had a sound chip, many of the sound chips out there are lucky if they can do a 4-bit sound sample. And you have to jump through a lot of hoops to get it to play samples.
Yep.
And in recent years, they've improved the quality to where they're really good. But back in the day, it was really easy to play back a sound sample on the CoCo. But some of these other machines, you had stuff that was, if you had speech, some of them you couldn't understand the speech and
like speech sound pack.
Yeah. Well,
digitized speech.
Yeah, in the case of Commodore and stuff like that, they could do a synthesized waveform to generate the stuff, but there's no way you could do a digital. They just didn't have the memory for it. But the Amiga, that's a different story. It could do wave samples.
Right.
Later
and
with the PC,
DMA driving it, so it didn't require any CPU time except when you wanted to start the sample again.
Exactly. And in the case of the PC, they started coming out with digital sample capable sound systems and like that. So yeah, we started moving in that direction. But yeah, the CoCo had a very simple sound system, which had advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah. Now,
8-bit is good. 8-bit DAC with money.
Mm-hmm.
Now the other systems that have sound chips, most of them generate a waveform by fixing the channels and then adjusting the volume up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And they will take up just as much CPU time as playing samples on the CoCo then.
Exactly. Yep. And now the one area that was probably the biggest failing of having a DAC was that you couldn't play sound at the same time as you were doing something in BASIC. That was probably because there's ways of producing sound at the same time you're doing something when you're using assembly, but in BASIC, you have to have some sort of assembly add-on if you're going to play sound at the same time your BASIC program is running.
BASIC was a single task operation. What we did in assembly is we did multitask operation.
Right.
We coded it that way.
Right. Now, you can... I've seen a lot of music players on other machines, that they're interrupt driven, and a matter of fact, I wrote one for the Auric and ported it to the Sound Blaster that you could have it playing music and stuff while you're running a BASIC program, but without a sound chip, you've got to drive it more often, and BASIC requires a lot of time to interpret your code.
Right.
Actually, CoCoMan's got Photon playing. I don't know, CoCoMan, if you can share the sound and play that.
Yeah. You got the RGB composite set wrong at the moment, but
I've got a lot not working right now.
I could probably try to pull up Photon on my CoCo 3 if I had to.
Yeah, I think this is going to require an analog stick.
Oh, is it analog?
Mm-hmm.
I've never played Photon before.
I haven't either.
Well, even
one
if
of
you're
Nick's my favorite games.
if you just start the game, it doesn't matter if you can't control anything, just so we can hear the background music.
Pick a higher level though, so it has more objects moving on screen, because you actually did a pretty good job on keeping the sounding really good, along with a fair bit of moving graphics.
See, this is exactly why I put demo modes in all my games.
Okay, here's something.
Yeah, it's a speech. It's just got speech too. So.
Oh, look at this! I'm getting a DM. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but it sounds good.
Yeah, works great on mine too.
That's what she said.
Oh, hello.
Ooh, what is it? I've never played this game before.
I've never even seen it.
It's quite good.
Yeah, it's very good. It's quite an addicting game, and he's got, I think it's 60 levels or something. He's got a ton in there.
It's
I think it's quite
game.
complex.
Yeah, it's a puzzle arcade game.
Yeah.
Spent too much time playing this game.
Yep, I have no idea what's going on.
You have to push the puzzle pieces around and try to get to the exit.
Yeah, it's by Jeff Steele, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't get hit by the balls, and don't get hit by the other
plasma
things.
droids. That sounded bad, Dave. It's like watching Steve try to play Popstar.
Well, up until 5 minutes ago, I never even heard of this game. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I got it coming up on mine right now. Are you running an RGB monitor? Yes.
Yeah, you'll actually get bright colors if you have that set up right.
I don't know if you guys can see it on mine.
Yeah,
Yep. Sundog actually had a lot of good games.
Yes. Mm-hmm. After Dicom left the CoCo market, they were the premier third party.
Okay, so I don't have an analog stick on mine right now. But
do you have a CoCo mouse?
Let me. I can just.
Actually, it might work on digital because it's just left, right, up, down,
Okay.
and the one button to push and pull.
Should work fine.
Okay, so level 1, I hit start then, huh?
Thus it begins.
2 power bars remaining.
Hit the button.
Okay.
This is going to be entertaining.
What am I doing?
Now you got to push and pull the blocks.
To do what?
To get to the exit, which is that little recess thing that the red ball's rolling over every once in a while. And to pull, you steer towards a block, stop one blank spot before, and then hit the button it'll pull towards you.
Alright, I'm having a hard time hearing you over the music now. Alright, no, the music is good though. And that music's playing in the background, so that's what, IRQ driven?
Yep.
Yes.
And the tones have an envelope sound effect on them as well, so...
Yeah, I talked to Jeff about it a little bit, and he actually he did some of his tones as chords, so he could actually get it sounding like a 6 voice without actually using 6 voices, trying to time or IRQ 6 separate voices. He actually had, like a 2 or 3 voice chord as a single voice digitized sample.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, no, that's halfway decent. Now that's a game where, because you're not scrolling the entire screen and the amount of animation is a little bit less complicated, that you could probably pull that
Later
off,
levels,
right?
it gets pretty going. There's like a good 30 to 40 sprites going simultaneously.
And the music never.
Nope, it's going fine.
Okay, hey, Mark Farrell is here. Hello, Mark. Mark is saying boo to something. I'm not sure what he's saying boo to, if that was to Jason crashing earlier in the game or something, or just to the show in general. Either way is appropriate. So, cool stuff. Yeah, so, yeah, talking about CoCo sound, I mean, we ought to dedicate an episode to that at some point in time.
Which we just did.
Not until I've played something. There you go. Here's a bit from the demo.
All right, a little bit of Simon Jonassen for you. Some Madman.
Meow.
David.
What?
David's got his own digital sampler.
Is that like the poo-poo platter?
Yeah. This music is brought to you by Boyson Technologies, maker of the thingamajiggy here. All right, it's the Boyson, the Boyson thingamajiggy.
That's Rickroll.
We just got Rickrolled. Oh no!
All right, we got Rickrolled. Was it on a CoCo at least? Is that a CoCo sample?
It wasn't me.
Not a CoCo sample, but it could be.
But it could be. That's right. So, the Boyson Tech thingamajiggy is available at a location near you. An undisclosed
what is it? The Boyson Tech dash CoCo dash Atari dash joystick dash adapter dash something else. It just rolls right off the tongue.
That's what she said.
Please send RMAs to Jim Brain.
Coming soon to CoCoFEST near you.
Well, Bruce was saying we got to call it the Boyson Box, but it sounds interesting, but I don't know. We'll have to come up with a name for it.
There's no box. That's ironic.
Yeah, you could go so many places with boxes.
Yeah,
the mini box. I don't know.
Mini box. Hey, Jim's here.
Dash adapter.
Dash buy now.
Oh my God!
Oh, he says we
the
call it
has arrived.
Okay, Ken says we should call it the boysenberry.
Isn't that a syrup at IHOP?
Boysenberry. Yeah. It's the boysenberry.
No, the boysenberry is from Knott's Berry Farm. Seriously, they put it on the map.
And Jim says call it the Boysen Bag.
The Boysen Bag. All right. Well, we have a few news articles to go over, I think. I know we've covered a few things. How about we take another quick break? Anybody need to take a potty break? We've been going for 2 hours. How about I run maybe two commercials, give you guys about a minute and a half, and we'll take a potty break, and then we'll come back with some news. Sound good, everybody?
Sounds good. Thank God.
All right. We'll be back. And maybe if we're lucky, some rap music will play.
Oh, God, no.
Yo, yo, yo.
Hi, I'm Kieran Unstall,
Richard,
author of XRAW, and your brain is resolving sensory input into CoCoTALK.
Only the bravest souls enter. Only the most cunning return. Defeat innumerable monsters to ransom the king's scepter, stolen by the evil wizard. Your sword, shield, and wits are your only allies. Pray you find a magical inn as your only respite in the forest of doom.
For the tiny color computer 1, 2, and 3.
November 2017, if you dare.
What's going on, everybody? Stevie Stroh, and I want to say thank you for continuing to watch and listen to CoCoTALK. We love doing this show. We think we put together a pretty good show for you, but this show could be better with your help. So if you would like to send a feedback, a comment, a suggestion, a show topic, or maybe even your own little segment or bumper, then send it to us via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. This show would be nothing without you. Love to hear from you.
Every day, a color computer is abandoned or abused. They live in the dark recesses of garages, basements, storage sheds, barns, and attics, waiting for someone to help. Hi, I'm Helen Bleeding Heart. Please say you'll be the answer for CoCo suffering the effects of extreme temperature, overexposure to ultraviolet light, and conditions unfit for electronics. These CoCos need your help. Please call 888.
Okay, we can come back after this, I guess.
Or go online and join the Color Computer Preservation Society.
Yeah, because this thing is longer than Methuselah.
Right now. For just $18 a month, you can rescue CoCos from their abusive environments, provide repair of damaged parts, administer retro bright treatments, and most of all, provide love. Call or sign up online in the next 30 minutes, and we'll send you a photo of a CoCo being lovingly reconditioned by the CCPS. And you'll receive this beautiful tote bag that declares, I saved a CoCo. Yours for your generous, perpetual monthly gift. This is your chance to say, I won't sit by while a CoCo is wasting away. Please, won't you call or go online right now?
I'm not saying that's a CoCo project, but it could be.
Well, it wasn't too long ago, Alan created the CoCo Preservation Society.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it's nice to see it back.
Yeah. Hey, Rick Adams, how are you?
Hello. So did I miss anything?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. What have you guys been talking about for 2 hours?
Yeah. I see somebody's running bomb threat. That's always nice.
Yes, yes. So what's new with you, Rick?
Just getting my table ready for CoCoFEST. I had to solve a couple of problems. I was putting a routine in Shanghai to where if you hit the break key, it would hard boot to RS-DOS, so it could go back to a menu. I have a menu of like 4 games.
Okay.
And so Shanghai was the one that, I put the routine in, and it just you'd hit the break key to go to RS-DOS, and it would crash. So there was some register I wasn't setting back just exactly right. So I think I finally got that working.
Cool. Cool.
And then I had to, I made Shanghai so that it came up with default of RGB mode, because I have an RGB monitor, and I did the same thing with Temple of Ram. So I have source for all these games now, and I can actually build them. So
that's neat.
I was able to do that. And I can go through and change the, the copyright message to say, copyright Dandy Corporation, no rights deserved.
You can actually put the full Dragon into Shanghai too, since you won't be restricted to the cartridge size.
That is true,
as it was originally intended.
Right.
But I'll never see the Dragon with my joystick, because it's so. I got this one joystick. It's a black joystick, and there's something wrong with it. It keeps going to the lower right corner and staying there, and so I've never been able to win Shanghai once. So
I think Steve uses the same excuse playing Popstar.
Yeah. There you go.
Blame the equipment. Blame the equipment.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can get a new one.
Help that I do the random game where some of the games are not winnable. So I actually, on 2 games, I actually have gotten far enough that I've gotten stuck, and I can't. There are no more no more free tiles, so I'm done.
I'm sure there'll be some replacement joysticks plus with the joystick adapters like we were discussing earlier in the show.
That's one of the first things I'm going to pick up. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because this one's got to go.
There's a new product by Boyson Tech. It's called the Boyson Thingamajiggy, and it'll let you plug your doohickey into your thingamawuts and live happily ever after. So it's a great product, available wherever thingamajiggies are sold. So
the thingamajiggy store, and
but can you hook up your who's it what's it?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, 100% compatible.
Hey, let's not get into feature creep now, okay?
Also, Jason's brother Ken has a good suggestion of a game there in the YouTube chat.
We should make a game where you search for old electronic equipment in a giant old garage. Call it Temple of Ron.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
That's good.
Temple of Ron. Oh.
And Bruce Moore asked a question too. Since you're working on updating some of your games and like RGB conversions and stuff, he's saying, can we get a big update of all your games as one package? The Rick Adams, extraordinaire package.
Kind of like Nick's what he did with Popstar.
Well, I don't really have rights to all of them, so let's see.
Like Shanghai.
Temple of Rom, I can do something with. Shanghai is not mine.
Okay.
So I can't do much with that. Bombthreat is mine.
Mm-hmm.
So so Shanghai is off limits.
Okay.
But Temple of Rom and Bombthreat and my new game that I may or may not come out with sometime. We can do things with that.
Neat. Very, very cool. Well, we're definitely looking forward to seeing you again at CoCoFEST this year. It's going to be a treat.
Especially at the live coding table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably not going to get very much done with that because I'll be way too distracted.
Bruce has a suggestion. He says, change the name to Shang Lo.
Yes.
Completely different game. It's a clone now, right? And just change. Yeah. The names were changed.
Shang Lo.
The names were changed to prevent the lawsuit.
If you really want to change it, just call it that tile game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Call it Mahjong.
Yeah, because that's not a copyrightable name.
Yeah.
Mahjong.
Right.
Just change your art too, and you're done.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, we've got the art changed already. We got 2 alternative tile sets on the Nitrous 9 version that are totally different than the original. So.
Okay, good.
Everybody's wanting me to buff up Temple of Rom. I'm not exactly sure what I could do with it though, but it's a wonderful idea. I just haven't thought of something yet.
Well,
you could add that garage.
Isn't somebody already doing the 3D version of it?
Oh yeah. Yep, he's taken off in that direction, and I don't really know how to do 3D, so at least not at that level. So
I believe it involves adding an extra D.
Yeah. I'm really excited to be able to build Temple of Rom from source again, though.
Yeah, that's neat.
Was that William Astle that helped you with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when that stuff gets decoded, there is no comments left, right? The comments never make their way to what gets compiled.
Right.
No.
Right.
Correct. So we do have comments, but they're comments that William and I have put in there.
Okay.
And depending on what assembler you used, there may not have been room to put that many comments in because you need that for the source code itself.
Right.
Yeah. Though I do remember there were some smaller programs that Ed Tasm produced that actually some of the comments did make it into the actual executable. Like a little chunk of code would be right at the end or something. So I don't know if that was a bug they had in Ed Tasm or what, but I've seen
sounds
a
like
few
a bug
of
to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the
Who's
tail end
banging
of
on their keyboard?
The cat did it.
Keyboard cat.
That was the key. That was the CoCo cat, right? So. All right, well, let's look at a couple of interesting news items that have come up, and then we'll take a look at if anything new and exciting has happened at the Glenside website. So this was kind of interesting, right? So there's kind of this long-going dispute. Now, did this actually get sold? Oh, the listing has ended. So this is the program pack case, right? Now, the kind of running joke for this has been, because this has been mentioned on the CoCo Crew podcast many times, and it seems like between John Linville and Vincent Tran, nobody can seem to get these because they seem to buy them up all the time. So it's almost like the race for the finish of who can get the most of these. Now, this person
it's like
was actually
watching Alan Huffman at a
at an auction, right? So this one was being listed for $89.99, which I think is a little bit expensive.
Wow,
you know,
that is high.
That's a lot expensive.
It's in a halfway decent condition, but yeah, I don't think this is a $90 relic, you know, my opinion. But if it's something that you want, you know, and it's you got to have it in your collection, you know, the value is in the eye of the collector. So for me, yeah, that's a little bit too much money. I don't have David Ladd money, right? So another one which I thought was kind of cool, and I don't know if we have Simon with us right now. So is Simon still here? The Madman still here?
He left.
He left.
He said he had to get up early.
All right. Well, so Simon Jonassen had originally created a web-based application called SG Edit that would let you generate CoCo-style graphics on your 32 by 16 text screen, and it had all the graphics symbols and all of the text symbols. And so a friend of the show here, our UK friend Davy Jones, is it Davy Jones? Davy Jones, Davy Mitchell. I'm having a brain freeze right now. Who helped? David Mitchell. Yeah, why am I thinking Davy Jones? That's Davy Jones's locker. I don't know. So anyway, so Davy Mitchell updated a little bit, and so now Carlos Camacho started designing some mock-up screens. Like this is a Mario screen. Here's your little, you know, breakable box and stuff. So he started designing a couple of screens here. There's the boss on Mario. Here's a Joust screen. Davy Jones of the Monkeys is what Ken is saying here, right? So, and it's amazing. You could, if you squint your eyes and turn your head sideways and hit yourself in the back of the head with a frying pan, you could say, "My God, that looks just like Joust." You know, I mean, it's amazing what you can do with 16 pixels.
Now, one thing I would like to see them do is expand this to support the CoCo VJ 64 by 32, because then you get 128.
There you go. Right.
By 64 graphics of the same thing, and then you actually get some pretty decent looking stuff.
Yeah, but no, this actually does look like Joust, right? You got the little birds. There's your lance. Here's the landing zones here on the islands. There's your landing zone there. Here's some flames coming out of the lava. You can totally get that this is Joust, and it's actually quite impressive what you can do with resolution this low. You know.
So. Yeah. But as Nick would agree with me. We never did a game in semi-graphics. Closest I came to using semi-graphics was Audio Spectrum Analyzer. It's a little slow for updating, and what you can have for each of the dots as far as color, you got 6 dots together and they all got to be the same color.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. Yeah. Now this picture here I thought was kind of cool. This 1970s looking Motorola guy. You know, he's got the big wide lapels and the tie and the hairdo. Like this is Motorola equipment here. You know, it's like wraparound sound and sidetrack 8-track player and turns your AM car radio into an AM FM and gives you the works, right? So I mean, just to show you where Motorola's origins came from. You know. You had the lounge guy here in their ad, so I thought that was very period interesting, you know, to look at some of this Motorola tech.
That's Leisure Suit Larry's father, isn't it?
That is really cool.
Could be.
Now here's an interesting one. We have Rick Adams with us right now. Hopefully this has been sanctioned by Rick Adams, but we actually have a bunch of bomb threat cartridges being produced for CoCoFEST.
Yes, those are legit. I think I know the guy who did that.
And this is the bug fixed version, right?
Yeah.
And they had the latest update on them?
Yeah.
There you go. And this actually looks really good. This is a perfect use for this ROM cartridge. And the label looks good. Your son designed the label to look like a period correct game.
Yep.
Joel Adams.
What board is being used in the cartridge? Any idea, Rick?
What board?
What board
I don't know.
I'm just wondering, is he using the Game Master cartridge in there?
No.
No, right. I was just wondering because it'd be a bit of a waste of a sound chip, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's the same. This is the Retro Tinker thing, right? So this is John Linville's circuit board and ROM cartridge and cheap Canadian labor to put it together.
Yeah.
So
it would be fun to do it with the Game Master cartridge, but I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought that would be good because you could have the game there and the Game Master cartridge. You could disable the game and have a sound card as well.
Why would you want to disable his game?
No, I mean, you can plug the game in and play the game, but at the same time, you could access the sound chip to have it and use it, therefore, as a sound card. That gets more of the cards out there, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
But,
Rick, on this version, you did pass around for testing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
as long as you didn't use Stevie for testing, because he can't get very far.
Right.
The running gag.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
gag?
no, it looks good. It looks really
It's not
good.
a gag, it's the truth.
Yeah. And I want to say, as much as not everybody is a fan of the cartridge, I'm a big fan of the cartridge. And I'm glad to see Rick's game on a cartridge because his first 2 games were on cartridge. So this being his next, product release, the fact that it's on a cartridge, to me, it just feels right. I think it's exciting that we live in a time where we can do it. You don't have to do it. It's an option. And I like that this option exists. And I think that looks really good. So good stuff.
So are we making 23 and that's it?
Well, listen, you should. Isn't your distribution house communicating with you?
They're out there somewhere.
It's kind of tough to understand the Canadian accent, eh? So
yeah.
I'll be buying one of those, by the way.
Right.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
The last batch, 3 of them went to me. One for me and one for each of my 2 sons. So this time, I won't be getting any of them, which is fine. And so there'll be 3 more for people to get.
Now, if we have the old one, can we return those for the new bug-free one?
That's not up to me.
Send those to Jim Brain.
That's a Jim Brain question.
I'm guessing the answer is no.
That's the collector's edition. That's a special collector's edition.
That's it.
It's like a Pac-Man crash screen. It's famous.
It's the kill screen. Yeah. So this one I thought was pretty interesting too. I just came across this one today. So this was posted by Jamie Risenborough, who I'm not as familiar with in the group just yet, but he somehow managed to hack something on his CoCo to output to like an old Casio style keyboard and play some music on it. So the title is called "Doing Useless Things with My ROM Pack Interface." So take a look and a listen at this here. That's pretty cool. You could even see the keys light up on that particular one. So somehow
is that a MIDI connection?
Why does that make me think of Linus?
Oh yeah, it did sound kind of like Linus from
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown. So yeah.
Was that a MIDI interface? Was it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what he had on there, but it was somehow connected to some type of looked like a Grant Leighty wiring design there.
Might have been just pressing the key switches.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like a player piano, as Bruce Moore is calling it. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I'm not on the mailing list anymore. But is anything else newsworthy I missed that wasn't on Facebook that you guys came across this week?
The only thing I think you should mention, just for a public service announcement for some people who are going to Tandy Assembly, the new dates.
Well, how about we do this? How about we pull up, I'm going to pull up the Glenside site, and I'll pull up tandyassembly.com. How about we do this? Why don't we not worry about Tandy Assembly until after CoCoFEST? We have 3 weeks until CoCoFEST. Tandy Assembly is 6 months away.
Well, the only reason I was saying that, just in case people are making reservations, well, I guess they haven't put the hotel out yet. So yeah, you're right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So,
they may make plans to get time off and stuff like that. So
well, let's pull it up. Let's pull up Tandy Assembly.
Yeah, because we're looking at November now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
I think they're shooting for Veterans Weekend.
Okay, so according to tandyassembly.com, now Tandy Assembly 2018 has been moved to November 10th and 11th in Springfield, Ohio. Updates will show up here as the plan progresses. So yeah, November 10th and 11th. Good call there, Grant. So Bruce Moore says that somebody's bringing a projector to play games, so the CoCo game contest might go through a projector. That'd be kind of cool. So yeah, so as you're making your reservations for your retro retreats, make sure you have Tandy Assembly on the list there, November 10th and 11th. And so now, the reason why CoCoTALK got started was CoCoFEST last year. So let's see what's new and exciting for CoCoFEST. And I guess we can start by the attending list. Rick C. Adams, William Astle, Richard Blair. Yep. Last time I counted, there were over 60 names on this list. This list looks like it's gotten a little longer. And those are just confirmed ones. It's looking like the events. And so here we will see. Okay, so Friday you're actually able to set up. So Friday at 7:30 p.m. you could set up your exhibit ahead of time. And I'll be in early enough to possibly do that. Sunday morning at 7 a.m. you can also set up 9 a.m. show opening with Shu, the Music Man. I like the booth tour. I really do like that we're having the booth tour this year. Lightning talks will be interesting. Okay, Coco Man says gotta run. Take care, Jason, the Coco Man. Then we've got our lunch. We've got John Strong. We've got Steve Bjork. We've got awards. We've got the auction, which is really the kind of, one of the highlights of the event. The on-site dinner's been great 3 years in a row now, this on-site dinner. CoCo Trivia has been a lot of fun. CoCo Chit Chat and Hangout Time. Music Jam will be here. Sunday show opening for our national anthem by the Music Man. Jamie Cho, I'm actually looking forward to seeing some of this here between CMOC, Docker, and Dino Sprite. Wasn't that J.J. Walker? Dino Sprite! Wasn't that Good Times guy? So then we got the CoCo Crew podcast live. Not saying it's CoCo project, but it could be. We have the Sunday auction, and we're closing up. And then, of course, and so here it is. Somebody asked a question last week, what is the Touch the Heron thing? Here we see Ben Anding touching the heron. This is the big giant heron statue. It's called the Heron Point Center or something like that. That's where CoCoFEST takes place. So make sure you touch the heron.
So where do we rub David's tummy at?
No. Buff his head.
Buff his head. That's the latest one. Is buffing David's head.
So, I'm bringing a can of turtle wax.
Rub the Buddha.
I hear if you rub his head right, you can see the future in it.
That's what inspired CoCo Forever. I think Bruce touched it last year.
Yeah, right. So we have celebrity Rick Adams will be there. Podcast media.
I noticed that we have celebrity Rick Adams, but I don't see celebrity Steve Bjork there. That doesn't seem.
I haven't put my bio in because I haven't been able to come up with something that I like.
Bruce said that Zaxxon guy would be the.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that too. That guy that wrote Zaxxon.
The Zaxxon guy.
Wrote games, did stuff.
Boyce and Tech has been generously referred to as a vendor.
Boo.
That was bad.
It's not a vendor, but it could be.
Right. Brian Schubring, our music man. Boise Pete's Call for Papers.
Actually, I think it's called Scream for Papers at this point.
Yeah, right? That's what he said, because I don't think anybody had done it. Right. Mark Marlette is going to be a vendor here. CoCo VGA, Color Computer Store. Bruce Moore, Fuzix. Chris Hawk and Hawksoft. John Mark Mobley. John W. Linville. Good friend William Astle is here. Lost Wizard Enterprises. Mark D. Overholser. Myro. Yeah. Neil Blanchard. Nitrous 9 Ease of Use Project. There's the banner. Look at that. Ease of use, everybody.
Ease of use.
Yes.
Thanks,
Retro
Steve.
Innovations. Yeah. Richard Chrislip will be there. Reitveld and Reitveld will be there. Sub-Etha Software. So, yeah. Good stuff. Good times. Lots of things going on at CoCoFEST. We spent 2.5 hours last week on our bonus episode just talking about CoCoFEST and what we're looking forward to, what our predictions are, things like that. So that bonus episode will be available on the DVD that I'll have available at CoCoFEST, as well as to our patrons. We have that 2.5-hour bonus episode. And it was all about CoCoFEST. We just kind of thought about it and reminisced. And I think the moral of the story was we're there. We know there's going to be a lot of cool hardware, et cetera, but we're there for the camaraderie, right? So CoCoFEST is about getting together, having a good time.
Yep.
All right. Have I missed anything?
Don't think so.
And
There's some unannounced projects that have been hinted at from like Cloud9 and stuff, but we don't know anything about them, so you can't really discuss them.
Those were teased on the CoCo Crew podcast that Cloud9 will have something. We did see on Facebook recently the extra memory boards that were being produced, the Triad memory boards, right? Mm-hmm. I do want to remind everybody it's just this weekend, so if you're thinking about getting some retro swag, most of this artwork has all been designed by Rick Adams' son, Joel M. Adams, Instagram artist Joel M. Adams. Lots of cool custom designs. We should get Bomb Threat on here for a t-shirt if Joel's up for that. We have Popstar up here as a t-shirt. So yeah, so this weekend through Monday, you get free shipping using promo code FS18. So if you're looking for some swag, get some free shipping. And there I said that. All right, so we beat this one to death?
No, we're just starting.
No? There's still a little bit of life left in this show?
We got at least an hour to the outro, right?
Yeah.
I have one item.
Okay, go ahead, James. Diffendaffer.
I sat down last night and early this morning and wrote up a patch for the Color Computer 3 for its basic to speed it up.
Oh, really?
I have a couple things left to do on it, but the code is pretty much done. It's all the same problems off of the MC10 are on the CoCo ROM, and I just got to find where they stuck a couple things. So
okay,
that should be rearing its ugly head soon.
Now, because this is for the CoCo 3 and Microware copied everything into RAM, does that mean you'll be able to patch it all and we don't have to worry about...
I will be able to patch it all, and I could do the same thing on the CoCo, but the double speed that you get from running out of ROM makes it faster than like the hardware multiply. So it's not really much point in messing with that yet. If someone were to create a cartridge that lets you replace the ROMs with RAM in the cartridge area, then that would be another matter.
Also, couldn't you dump the ROMs and then patch them and then write them back to a new chip?
Well, there's a little problem with that. The hardware multiply code is about 40 bytes too big to fit in the space of the old looping multiply, and I would have to redo it in a different way. I can look at that in the future, but for now, the code is almost straight off of the MC10. I just changed use stack relative addressing for temporary variables and a few things like that. It won't be quite as fast as the MC10, but it will be way faster than the standard code.
Who the hell is beating away on this damn keyboard?
Rick? Is that you?
I think it may be me.
Okay, I'm hanging up on all the wrong people here. I'm trying to figure out where the sound's coming from, and unfortunately it's not mute, so I'm randomly hanging up on people until I can find the source of the sound.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was going to say I had my mic muted.
Sorry about that.
So did it just start? I mean, stop? I mean?
Yes, it just stopped.
It stopped when you stopped.
Okay, so it's probably me.
That's what you get for having one of those IBM keyboards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ron Delvaux in the live chat says, today is my wife's birthday, so I had to go short. Hey, thanks for being here, Ron. Happy birthday. Say hi to the Mrs. Horse.
So what exactly does it speed up?
Well, there's three things. Number one, it replaces the floating point multiply with a using the hardware multiply, which makes that 3D plot that's in place of my face, it cuts that by about 30%, the amount of time it takes to do that. and it speeds up a lot of other math-intensive stuff. I also have a patch for the code that converts from ASCII to floating point. It does a lot of division by the constant floating point value of 10. This is a patch I put on the MC10 just a few days ago, and that added about a 3% speed up by itself to some of my tests. And there's a common routine called for parsing. It's referred to as CareGet in most disassemblies. The one on the CoCo did not show it as called that, but it's self-modifying code that sits on the direct page, and normally it does all the parsing, checking for what character is read. It increments the pointer to the next address, reads the character, tests it, and then returns a value, skips spaces, stuff like that. And both the CoCo and the MC10, it does the reading and then it jumps back to the ROM. And if it's a space, then the ROM jumps back to the RAM. And then it reads a character and it jumps back to the ROM, which you can see is kind of a slow way to do things. And if there's room, if nothing else is stuck after that routine, I can place a few bytes of code that will take the most often executed or most often parsed item, which is tokens, and it will return directly to the caller after finding the token. If I have enough room, I can fit the whole thing there, but I doubt that. It just depends on if the ROM uses that, and that's one of the things I got to track down. I haven't spent enough time on the CoCo ROM to see if anything uses that RAM yet. That is good for several percent on a speed up if it's usable. So this should probably result in about a 5% speed up on just about everything, and then math stuff 20 to 30%.
Wow.
You should combine them with John Kowalski's, because he's done some patches for the 639 native mode and a couple of optimizations he did too, based on that chip. And if you combine the two, that'd be a really nice speed up.
Yeah, there's like the screen scroll and things like that I sped up on the MC10 that I'm not messing with because I don't have the room on the CoCo. But if you have a 6809, we could also do patches for like screen scroll, clear screen.
If you look at my website, there's also patches for making it run more vertical lines and support for 320 by 225 or 640 by 225 scan lines as well. And they don't take up any extra memory.
Well,
I can post the link. Hang on. You can just have a look at it and see if it's worthwhile.
It's just a matter of I've got to try the stuff out, see if it breaks stuff, and then once I've got a 6809 version, then I can worry about a 6309.
Well, that's
well, these patches that Nick's talking about are 6809. They don't require 6309.
Okay.
I'll put a link up so you can just go to the website later and have a look.
Okay.
That's neat, though. Thanks for doing that. So this is something that's going to benefit people who write in BASIC. You're basically making BASIC run faster.
And this will be a program that you load before you load your program, or?
Well, I got to see how long the patch is going to be. It might be. See, on one of the patches I did for the MC10, it works with standard BASIC, and it just pokes it into a string variable at the start of the program, and then once it's poked in there, you can remove the data lines and the stuff that does the poking, and then just call the code when the program executes, and it'll automatically install the patch every time you run it. So if it's not too large, I should be able to do the same thing on the CoCo. And then you can embed it right in a program that you want to speed up.
This is weird. The YouTube links for me, they get chopped off. I'm trying to click on whatever you put in the YouTube chat, and it doesn't open for me.
Okay. I just copied it. I just copied it from Nick's one.
Yeah, but I think YouTube kind of hacks off the end of a link if it's too long, and it's just
that's an abbreviated link.
The actual link shows. Yeah, the actual link on mine is showing up at the bottom, but it is a long link.
Well, it's got all the redirect and all that other crap in there.
Yeah, but it's also got the event chat. Yeah, it looks like they're throwing something else on it.
Let me see if I can.
But when I click on it, I get a 404 page not found.
Yeah, yep. That's what I get too.
Okay, hang on. See if this.
So if I go to
it's because of the YouTube redirecting.
Oh, the YouTube redirecting is screwing it up?
Yeah.
Okay, this one loads the link I posted. This is the original Microcolor Basic versus the new one, so you get an idea of what kind of improvement it does on that. And that's a 0.89 megahertz.
Where are you
can you play that? I posted it in the Skype.
Okay. We'll try it right now. Okay, so I should just bring it to the beginning right now. So we have a picture on the left and a picture on the right now.
Now the left is Microcolor Basic, and on the right is the optimized Basic.
Okay.
Now this is a beta version, but it should give you an idea what difference it is.
Yeah, posting in the YouTube chat changes what the link is supposed to be. It's actually adding stuff to the end of the link.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it's significantly faster.
You know, this might be something that could be put into a cartridge or a flash. You know, one of these loaded from the SDC flash or CoCo Flash or CoCo PSG.
Well, if I redo the basic, if it's just for running a basic program and there's no calls to the ROM, then I can throw this in a new as a new ROM, and you can load it in. But the CoCo has so much software, assembly language and whatever, that it's bound to break something. All I'm doing with this is I'm trying to load it in the RAM above where the CoCo 3 uses, and then it just intercepts the call to those little pieces of code with jumps to the patches for the multiply and the ASCII conversion, and then the parsing, that's going to have to go on the direct page, and like I said, it's going to depend on whether that's in use already or not. If BASIC doesn't use it, I can get away with it. If it does use it, then I can't.
That's pretty cool, though. Like to see it.
Yeah, and it didn't take long to write this one. We're talking about 5 hours, maybe 6. And most of that was looking around through the ROM.
Now, those same routines called by the high-res commands on the CoCo too, like circle and that kind of thing?
This is just the floating point library in Color Basic. And
yeah, but does the circle routine, for example, call that library? So I'm wondering if it would speed up just because it's using the same routine.
All the calculations, anywhere it's doing floating point calculations, it's going to speed it up. The circle routine, I don't know if they use floating point or not.
Okay.
I have no circle routine.
This is an example, but I just was wondering if it would speed up some of the extended basic stuff if it's calling Color Basic subroutine.
As long as it's calling Color Basic floating point math library, and it's and it uses the multiply, then it'll speed it up.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool stuff. So when we talk about making the CoCo great again, it sounds like we're doing just that.
Well, making the MC10 great again.
Yeah.
Well, the MC10 is down to 105 after the ASCII conversion on all's benchmark, and the CoCo should be down in the 40-second range or less. I think. I don't. At double speed, I hope it would be. So that's one of the fastest machines tested then.
Neat.
Yeah, and I'm actually working on optimizing Basic 09, so I'll have to do some more compares after that's done too.
Yeah, I'll post the code to my blog as soon as I've run some tests on it. Some of the stuff won't apply because Basic 09 probably already does some things fast, but the way Microsoft did it, it's kind of a no-brainer speed up, really.
What is the link to your blog, James?
Oh, hang on here.
Is it an easy to remember and easy to communicate one, or is it?
I don't memorize it. Okay, hang on. It is jdifendaffer.blogspot.com.
There, you heard it there, folks. J Diffendaffer, DIFFENDAFFER .blogspot.com.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yes, jdifendaffer@blogspot.com. Yes.
The end of my name comes in the middle.
Very cool. Cool stuff. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're just shy of 3 hours here, so we've doubled last week's episode. This has been a double wide, to use a trailer park analogy.
Tripled.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks, James.
Is there anything else to do, or are we beating this one to death?
I think it's
been flogged.
I think it's
the horse has got to be buried.
Yes. So let's go back to who we've had in the live chat today and say hi to all of them. So Mark Overholser, Paco Atakte, Drencor, Davey Mitchell, David Ladd, Disney Saints fan, Richard Lorbieski, Bill Noble, James Jones, Steve Bjork, Grant Leighty, Jim Gary, and CoCo Man, and Terry Steen stopped by, and D. Bruce Moore has been here. Tom C. has been here. Ken Make It, brother of CoCo Man, has been here. CoCo Man was in the live chat. Retro Innovations in the live chat. We missed anybody? Dan Loyal in the live chat. Mark Farrell came in, said boo to us. Retro Innovations. James Jones. I think we're good. I think we've gotten everybody. Okay. So for all of you, we were up to like 27 people watching us live. I think we still got about 25 people watching us live right now. So thank you all. I just want to remind you, if you want to support the show, if you want to find out about the show, it's CoCoTalk.live is the website. Email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live to give us feedback, suggestions. If you want to send us a segment that we can put on for you, I'd love to get that too. Retro Swag Shop, free shipping this weekend. So if you go to 8bit256.com, use promo code FS18, free shipping on all your retro merchandise. Good stuff. Good stuff. I want to thank everybody who's still in the panel with us now. Grant Leighty and Mark Overholser and Nicholas Marentes and Curtis Boyle and Steve Bjork and Steve Batson and Rick Adams and James Diffendaffer, Richard Lorbieski of Boyson Technologies, and David Ladd. Earlier we had Simon Jonassen. We had a handful of people. CoCo Man was here. A few people have come and gone. So another great episode. I'll take a real quick moment too just to say hi to our sponsors one more time. So make sure you check out CoCoVGA at CoCoVGA.com, Boyson Technologies at BOYSONTECH.com, Retro Innovations at Go4Retro or store.go4retro for all of your retro needs, from the Commodore to the TI to the CoCo. I'm a CoConut.com for all your color computer links needs. CoCoTALK can be found at CoCoTalk.live, RetroSwag at 8bit256.com. There you have it. So episode 52. This is our Easter's Eve episode. And I want to hope you guys all have a great holiday tomorrow. And I hope the Easter Bunny's good to you. All that good stuff. Also, April Fool's tomorrow. So if you celebrate April's Fools, I'm not here to, to get religious with you. But if you believe in April Fools, then, have a great April Fool's too. All right, guys. You guys want to say goodbye to everybody at home?
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Farewell.
See ya.
Saying goodbye.
All right. And so here we
Later,
go.
everyone.
4 hours of outro begins in
Hope we
3,
didn't put anyone to sleep.
2, 1. Thank you for watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. If you love the color computer like we do, then visit I'mACoconut.com for all your color computer needs. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, then visit our Patreon site at patreon.com/OGStevieStro. CoCoTALK would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. Thanks go to Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Mark Overholser, Grant Leighty, Bruce Moore, Rick Adams, Ron Delvaux, Richard Lorbieski, Jim Brain, Nick Marentes, Karen Anscombe, Simon Jonassen, Wayne Campbell, Steve Batson, Brian Joyce, John Strong, and Barry Nelson. Special thanks to Steve Bjork for production suggestions and Brian Joyce for our Best of 2017 episode. Please help support the CoCo community by visiting some of its contributors. The CoCo Crew podcast at CoCoCrew.org. Glenside Color Computer Club, host of CoCoFEST at GlensideCCC.com. Jim Brain and Retro Innovations at go4retro.com. Tandy Assembly at tandyassembly.com. Cloud9 Technologies at cloud9tech.com. Boyson Technologies at boysontech.com. All right, so here's the mid-roll credit bonus section here. So yeah, so Jim Brain says that if we got rid of the announcer on this, that these credits would be halfway decent. So
then maybe I should start doing it then, Stevie.
One of the things that we didn't even talk about, and no spoiler alerts here, but Ready Player One has debuted, and some of us on CoCoTALK have seen it. And so without giving away anything, would we say it is a C or not C movie?
Definitely C.
Definitely C. I know Coco Man saw it. He's not here with us now. He said he liked it. I would say see it. The only spoiler that I will say, which I think is public knowledge, is that the CoCo is not in it. But it's still good. I liked it.
Radio Shack made it in with their Tandy 1000.
Well, listen, we're not trying to give away spoilers here. Hello.
I will say that Steve Bjork posted up a link talking to the author, Klein.
Yeah.
Where he actually does go through some of the CoCo stuff that was in the actual book, Dungeons Dagrath,
okay,
Bedlam, and Pyramid, and Rakatu, too. So.
Oh, neat. Neat.
Good stuff.
So, yeah, if you have time this weekend, in between celebrating April Fools and Easter, make sure you find time to go see Ready Player One in a theater near you. Steve, have you seen Ready Player One yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Grant, Leighty, and I both give it a thumbs up, so we say go see it. It's definitely worth seeing. And yeah, so we're just Luke's father. What is this? And Richard said, "Here's a spoiler: Darth is Luke's father." No. All right, so that's the mid-credit roll intro. But fear not, we've got post credits for you too. So we'll be back after.
I think you need a rap song in here too. Somewhere.
You know what? We will. We're going to get one just.
And
for
we also
Richard.
need the David Ladd blowing up thing too today. We haven't done that.
Well, hey, spoiler alert! That's going to be a post credit thing. All right. So yeah, Coco Man says go see it on discount day. Okay. So back to the credits. Another 2 hours. We'll be back in about 2 hours. Hold on. The CoCoTALK theme song is by Bruce Moore and Greg Shelar. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. Copyright 2008. Dale Lear, Rick Adams, Curtis Boyle, David Ladd,
Puff that head,
Grant Leighty, Mark D. Overholser, Bill Noble. Here's the high note. Yeah! Karen Anscombe. What's his face? Coco VGA guy, Brendan Donahue. Rendezvous! We're almost at 3 hours. All right, so for a special post-credit scene for your viewing pleasure now, what you're going to see is the latest creation of What Would David Ladd Do? This one was brought to us by Brian Joyce in Australia, and it's a good
Lord. ESP 8266-01 RS-232 TTL Wi-Fi network 4-pin DIN Fitbanger DB9 PC IP DriveWire
That's still the best one.
That works.
That one is good. That one is good. What would we do without David Ladd? Well, our heads would probably not explode.
They'd be shiny, but they wouldn't explode.
All right, so we have beat this one for 3 hours now officially. So thank you guys for watching in the live stream. As always, Disney Saints fan says that one is the best. Retro Innovation says the best part of an otherwise dismal show. Thank you, Jim Brain. All right.
You know, he keeps coming back week after week. You know,
and this time he came back just for the end credits.
Yeah, well,
I believe he's called a glutton for punishment.
Glutton for punishment.
He's like that guy up in the seats in the Muppet Show. You know,
Waldorf and Astoria.
The two old guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm right next to him.
Waldorf and Astoria, right?
And I do want to say, Richard, your joystick adapter is quality product. It looks good. It works good. Thanks for sending me one. And everybody get yourself one of these thingamajiggy whatsamahotsits.
I got a name for it,
the
but
price goes up.
I'll let you know next week.
Okay.
Your name for it is it's too cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, two of them for 20. I mean, that's too cheap.
The Boys and Cheaps. Boys and Cheap Stick or something.
Boys and
Stick.
Cheap Stick.
Cheap face. Dipstick.
The dipstick. Yeah, Coco Man also in the live chat says, yes, they are awesome. Thanks again. So
I think you should quote him. Use it in the advertising literature.
Cheap stick. All right, guys. CoCoTALK episode 52 is officially off the air. Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.